Our story starts in a bustling town where the local shops are always popping. Over at the local pub, someone slams a glass down with total main character energy. This young lad shouts that he got into Epley Academy drinks are on him tonight. He is so hyped that he accidentally elbows the guy sitting right next to him. He rudely tells the stranger to scoot. Don't you know I am a big deal now? Luckily, a much nicer fellow steps in to play peacemaker. Hey man, take it easy. The party boy cools off, deciding to be merciful since it is his big celebration day. Inside the tavern, someone mentions the Hero Festival, catching a mysterious masked man's ear. A tipsy patron starts gushing about the legendary hero Kyle plus Limia and Saint Sarah. Kyle Thorben is their powerhouse leader, but wait, wasn't there a fourth person in that party? Oh, right, people finally remember the Ash Mage, a quiet guy named Renal Vontrias. They gossip that Renal just hangs in the back while Kyle does all the heavy lifting. Jumping back to yesterday, our hero squad was busy grinding against a huge monster horde. The frontline soldiers were struggling until they saw the heroes. Talk about a lucky break. Kyle steps up, coolly ordering the weary soldiers to pull back and stay safe. He strides onto the battlefield, his boots making that classic hero's entrance sound on the dirt. Kyle Thorben is so cracked that he is literally leaking a high-level warrior aura everywhere. Limia the archer gets nervous. There are way more enemies than the quest description said. Saint Sarah just shrugs. Can't Kyle just one-shot this whole mob and call it a day? Kyle says he cannot go full power, or the shockwaves might accidentally hit their allies. Just as Kyle finishes posing, someone taps his shoulder and says, "Excuse me, coming through." It is the Ash Mage. He zooms past his teammates like a magical blue blur. Without waiting, he leaps into the air and starts spamming high-level spells like a pro. The girls realize the backline is cleared, though Sarah complains that he is still late. This really grinds the commander's gears. He watches with a very serious, not amused face. Our white-haired mage activates a stunning blue electric aura while diving straight into the fray. Renal is a beast. Massive magical runes appear everywhere to trap the entire demon army. He starts sprinting, his speed getting a massive buff from those glowing magical floor tiles. Time for the finisher. After a quick dash, his hands glow with incredible lightning energy. Boom. He lets it rip, creating a massive explosion that leaves the soldiers completely speechless. Naturally, they assume Kyle did it, but one spooky boss-level guy survived the blast. A guy in a skull mask is still standing, but our hero isn't even flinching. With his hand ready, he prepares to use his signature hand crush skill on the enemy. He grabs the skull guy's neck and squeezes with all that insane main character strength. Battle over Limia admits that, okay, maybe the mage guy's actually pretty handy to have. The blonde teammate grumbles, "He's such a show-off, and what kind of magic is that anyway?" She turns to the leader. "Doesn't his weird way of fighting just totally gross you out?" To wrap things up, the boy uses chain magic, pouring every drop of his mana into it. He slams his hands down, activating a giant blue rune that zaps everything in sight. The warrior draws his sword, looking super annoyed that his buddy is hogging the spotlight. While the skeleton boss gets fried by lightning, our protagonist sees his friend getting closer. "Wait, stop!" our hero yells. The warrior is totally messing up his carefully planned combo. Wanting all the clout, the commander jumps in for a flashy finishing blow with his sword. Fast forward to the next day, and the whole city is throwing a massive victory party. Everyone cheers for Kyle, completely ignoring the guy who did all the work. Our hero is honestly super annoyed. He did all the heavy lifting, yet nobody even looked his way. Meanwhile, his lazy leader is soaking up every bit of the spotlight without lifting a single finger. It is a bit awkward being invisible. While everyone cheers for Kyle, our guy just pulls up his hood. The crowd is totally hyped, chanting the leader's name like he is some kind of legendary superstar. Victory means party time. The crew heads over to a cozy local tavern to unwind and grab some snacks. Tailing behind our eager hero asks when the next big quest starts. He really wants a chance to shine. The leader just tells him to zip it. Our hero sighs and finally pulls back his hood. Then comes the bombshell. The leader says he just does not fit the vibe. Talk about a total mood killer. For our main man, it was all about leveling up and hitting those sweet personal goals. The leader goes full drama, saying he is totally grossed out by anyone seeking extra credit. How rude. They all stare at the poor mage. It is official. He is getting kicked out of the party. He is totally stunned. Since he is not moving, the leader rudely points to the exit again. Those harsh words just keep spinning around in his head like a broken record. Fast forward a bit. Our hero is stuck in some boxes while two bullies pick on him for being friendly. Feeling pretty down in the dumps, the masked boy just slumps over. He whispers that it is always his fault. The bullies joke that he is basically a walking disaster zone. They mock him for being a total tryhard who only cares about mission stats and efficiency. One drunk guy prepares a magic wake-up call. His buddy worries about the paperwork for hitting civilians. Totally bummed out, our hero takes a knee. He admits he is a bit extra sometimes, but this treatment is just uncalled for. He stands up, recalling every single time he saved the city while those ungrateful teammates just ignored him. Blue flames flicker. He asks if taking down a legendary black dragon is supposed to be easy now. He remembers his so-called leader running away like a scaredy cat while he charged straight into the danger. Turns out they were the ones fleeing with their tails between their legs when the Demon King showed up. He was left all alone against a whole army. As he thinks back, he starts getting really fired up. His blue magic flares. He gave up half his life force just so those cowards could escape safely. He realizes his team was just looking for easy wins, but the truth is, they were just jealous. Suddenly, one bully realizes who he is and starts shaking like a leaf. Fed up with the nonsense, our mage charges up a spell to give these two a lesson. He holds out his hand, finger poised and ready for a cinematic snap. "I'm done with these losers," he snaps. Suddenly, we see a totally different kid with white hair. Wait, what? Rubbing a fresh bump on his head, he realizes he was just dreaming about his past body. An old master is shocked by his new look. The old man just blinks, trying to process the fact that his student got a major makeover. "Renaniel," he asks. "Yep, our powerful mage has been reincarnated into the body of an innocent girl." The master smiles and says it is time for a fresh start. No more using that old name. Meet the new Renal Vontrias Plus. She has landed a sweet new gig as a teacher's assistant. He looks her in the eye and asks, "Ready for round 2 of this crazy thing called life?" She thinks back on 5 long years of grinding through boss fights with the world's worst teammates. Honestly, this peaceful school life is a bit weird. She is way more used to dodging fireballs. Those old memories of being the invisible most valuable player still leave a bit of a salty taste. Like that time she soloed a demon lord and did not even get a thank you. But hey, new body, new life Rana decides to move on and asks about her future plans. She figures this might actually be a pretty sweet deal after all that drama. Out with the toxic team, in with the academy life, but suddenly a scream echoes through the forest. A pack of beasts surround a merchant by his broken wagon while he yells for them to leave. This hybrid species of demon wolf roars with all its power, getting ready to shred the poor man apart. Terrified of the incoming strike, the merchant shields his eyes, hoping to dull the pain of the attack. But before the claws land, a hero steps in and wipes out the animals, splattering blue goo everywhere. The merchant is totally shocked to be alive and realizes he has actually survived to see another morning. While the masked hero uses magic to scare the pack, the merchant asks for the name of his savior. The girl stands her ground, protecting the man, while introducing herself as Renal, the legendary Mage of Ashes. Moving with incredible speed, she quickly draws blue runes in the air before the beast can even blink. Her magic is strong enough to blast the entire pack into the sky with a single powerful shockwave. Renal explains that she escaped the demon realm by making a very special pact with the bright stars. Several demon wolves are tossed high into the air, floating helplessly while the merchant watches in total awe. However, one stubborn beast stays on the ground, using its sharp claws to resist the powerful magic gust. Glowing with a blue aura, our hero stays calm as more monsters approach, looking completely unfazed by them. She knows her level is high. As a wolf lunges, she tells more about her star-based magic pact. Firmly planting her feet to keep her balance, the girl gets ready to finish off the entire group. One small burst of magic is all it takes to send the wolves flying again, defeating them instantly. The spell is so massive that the blue light can be seen far beyond the edge of the woods. She then reveals that her pact had a price, meaning she can never hide from the demon lord. Suddenly, a giant wolf survives the blast and tries to sneak a bite of the mage from behind. With expert agility, she dodges the attack, making the angry beast snap its jaws at nothing but air. She cannot hide from the demon lord because his dark curse still lingers inside her heart. The wolf crashes face first into the dirt, getting even more annoyed after such an embarrassing and painful fall. The girl remains cool, pointing a finger and forming blue runes to delete the monster from existence. Because of her curse, her adventuring days are over, so she summons a final bolt of lightning magic. The lightning is so strong it vaporizes the enemy and sends the other monster remains flying away. Turning back to the man she saved, the girl asks if he is doing okay after the battle. The merchant grabs her hand as he stands up, thanking her and asking for her heroic name again. Not used to the attention, she almost says her old name before introducing herself as just Raimi. She adds that this road is quite dangerous and suggests he should be much more careful around here. The man thanks her again, admitting he had nearly forgotten how scary this part of the forest was. Putting her mask back on, she waves goodbye and starts walking away from the messy battlefield area. Later on, the story moves to a quiet little house tucked away among many beautiful, lush flowers. Approaching the cottage with her staff, she mentions how long it has been since her last visit. Renal, the hero team's famous Mage of Ashes, is officially calling it quits and retiring starting today. Inside the house, a calm old man waits, serving as a wise mentor to our young protagonist. Opening the door, the boy, now back in his original short-haired body, looks out at the distant horizon. He watches the sunset while his mentor scolds him for being so reckless with his magical power. The old man keeps complaining that the boy always ignores everything he was taught about the magic arts. The boy just smiles and says nothing, so the master asks if he is planning another trip soon. Kneeling down, the boy announces he is leaving the hero life behind to retire, shocking the old man. The mentor gets furious at the news, calling his student a lazy and totally useless little disciple. He shouts that if the boy brings back the demon lord's head, he might finally accept him. 5 years pass after that task was given, and Maui finally returns to the old mentor's house. The girl says she brought the demon lord's head as a gift and knocks loudly on the door. When a man finally answers, he looks very puzzled, asking who the mysterious person on his porch is. Since he's never seen her face before, the girl blushes hard after unmasking. She's definitely not the boy her master remembers. With a cute smile, she announces her return in this feminine form. The poor old man is totally floored and speechless. Thinking fast, the clever master connects the dots. This girl is actually the Mage of Ashes, Rainiel. He nods, claiming he understands. He sighs in disappointment, muttering he would have stopped his pupil from changing. His stern tone really gives the girl a spook. Actually, he's totally clueless. He bursts into tears, wailing if she's here to deliver his beloved disciple's final tragic last words. He mentions how proud he was, seeing his student win solo, especially after hearing about that legendary victory over the Black Dragon. Feeling super awkward, the girl begs for a second to speak and finally explain the whole crazy, unexpected situation. Flashing a nervous grin, she explains her name is still Rainiel, even if she isn't exactly the same boy he once knew. To prove it, she charges her staff with magic. The master, who honestly looks just like Jesus, is left absolutely stunned. Jaw hitting the floor, he finally recognizes his apprentice. He stammers, asking if that's truly Rainiel's signature magical energy. Could it be the magic of Ashes? Dazed and confused, he stares at the girl, trying to process this wild gender transformation. Finally, he asks if she's really his boy. The girl beams, relieved that she finally convinced her master she has returned. She mentions returning to finish her mission, but mid-sentence, her mentor suddenly fires a massive energy blast right at her. Putting his full power into it, he obliterates her staff into tiny pieces. The girl is left standing there, totally shocked. Out of nowhere, the old man turns and heads back inside casually, inviting the girl to follow him into the house. The girl is overjoyed. She's finally managed to prove to her teacher that she really is the legendary Mage of Ashes. Settling into his chair, the old man starts penning a letter to Rosal, the former master of the prestigious Tower of Ashes. He continues his message to his dear professor at the famous Aplisa Academy, the world-renowned magical school. He's been flooded with letters from people asking if he's heard the big news about the professor's sudden retirement announcement. Everyone wants to know the man's whereabouts. Others are begging for a personal recommendation from the famous Mage of Ashes. They want access to the Tower of Magic, making the old man snap. He shouts about receiving hundreds of these annoying letters. Letters from every corner of the world are piled high on his table, sent by all sorts of random people. He fumes, asking if there's another idiot besides this girl who would announce a sudden retirement out of the blue. He assumed his disciple was defeated ages ago, since he never called, only leaving him with this mountain of pesky fan mail. He tells the girl to gather them all for a bonfire. Finally, just one single letter is left in the pile. It's a message from Aaron Veneer, the Aplia Academy headmaster. The old man spares it since this one actually seems normal. In the note, the headmaster writes once more to his longtime dear friend, the mage known as Renal Vontrias. He notes that summer has arrived at Aplia Academy, and the students are burning with a fresh desire to learn. He asks about semester preparations, clarifying he's writing this as a caring friend rather than a formal school headmaster. He goes on to ask if the mentor knows where his famous disciple, the Mage of Ashes, is currently hiding. He notes the talented freshman could lead through these tough times, which is making the current teachers a bit nervous. He asks again, where is that disciple? Then the old man orders the girl to burn the letters without mercy. Igniting her brilliant blue magical flames, the girl double-checks if he's absolutely sure about destroying all this mail. As the letters turn to ash, she wonders if this won't lead to some major problems later down the road. The old man snaps back, telling her to quit the chatter and keep burning. there are still way too many left. Time flies as the girl incinerates one letter after another, working hard to finish the massive task quickly. Once the flames die down, the old man finally tries to strike up a real conversation with his returned apprentice. Staring her down, he asks how on earth she suddenly swapped genders and showed up as a young lady. Getting super awkward, she starts sweating bullets and tries to dodge the question before finally giving in and speaking. She explains that after parting ways with the team, she visited a bar and ended up in a really tight spot. Elaborating further, she describes encountering a mysterious woman who radiated an incredibly dark and malicious purple magical aura. On the brink of defeat, she was losing serious blood in the arena, growing weaker with every passing second. Forced to her knees, powerless, the purple mage closed in while charging a sinister energy orb for her next move. But Rainiel wasn't going down without a fight. With a sudden leap, she prepared a desperate final counterattack. He unleashed a massive blue mana vortex, but then admits he's still not quite sure how everything went down. While she burns those old letters, the wise old man notes that every choice has its own special purpose. He asks about her future. Thrilled for a fresh start, she decides the magic tower is officially behind her. No more hero teams for her. She is ready to embrace this brand new life to the absolute fullest. Still, she admits she is a bit lost and hopes her master can offer some helpful guidance today. The official letter from Aplea Academy grabs her attention as she studies those mysterious glowing runes. The master joins her, scratching his beard thoughtfully. He asks if any bright ideas have crossed her mind yet. After a short pause, he suggests she might consider doing a small favor for one of his old buddies. We cut to the towering spires of the school. He asks if she would ever visit Aplea Academy. Our story shifts to the magic school where a recommendation for a brand new teacher is being made. This gets the headmaster super excited. He grins ear to ear, eager to hear more about this mystery person. The old man promises he is serious, claiming this is the finest candidate the Imperial capital has to offer. Poor Aaron is stunned. He is positive they mean the legendary Mage of Ashes and gets totally hyped up. He is not wasting a single second opening his desk to grab an official contract for the new hire. But the master drops a bombshell. It is not the legend, but actually his own newly adopted daughter. The headmaster freezes in shock. The master quickly adds that her skills are truly top tier and reliable. The professor asks about the Mage of Ashes, leaving the master stuttering as he tries to change the subject. He asks what his friend is talking about before introducing her as the talented Renal Vontrias. Her fundamentals are rock solid and her physical strength is amazing. She would make a fantastic teacher. This makes the headmaster pretty cranky. Gritting his teeth, he reminds his friend about the importance of fairness. He argues against hiring family, saying this academy must remain a pure sanctuary for learning and growth. This lecture really bugs the old man. He thinks his friend is being way too stubborn and gets annoyed. The headmaster then starts complaining about how he has survived all these years without any extra help. His friend quips back that the last assistants probably quit because the workload was just way too much. Aaron slams the table. He shouts about how critical this year is and demands complete honesty in hiring. He uses magic to toss a pile of letters showing just how many people want a spot here. They cannot let anyone down. Meanwhile, the old man just sips his coffee, looking totally unimpressed by the drama. He says this is exactly why his daughter belongs here, which just makes the headmaster even more frustrated. Time flies by, and we see our girl opening the doors to a room filled with scientific gear. She has arrived at the Royal Library, a place where many students are busy mastering the magical arts. As she walks, she realizes it has been 6 years. She is only here on her master's orders. Suddenly, another girl walks past her, wearing a pair of soft and very quiet red leather slippers. A memory of her mentor flashes by. He told her she was destined to become a teacher's assistant. This makes her a bit pouty. She has already read every book in this place a long time ago. Now she's just bored. Still, she decides to keep moving, so she does not waste any time. She needs to make the most of her months at school. Then a strange noise catches her ear. She spins around to investigate. A young boy is trying an experiment, but things are going totally wrong. He grumbles that the mana just won't float. It looks like his runes are failing to activate properly. He complains his magic pen is dry. Soon other students start complaining about the exact same strange problem. Everyone is confused why the mana suddenly vanished. One student claims there is only one possible reason. He asks if they are new to the library. Our protagonist is left wondering why the mana stopped. She tries to mind her own business and keep walking, but someone suddenly taps her on the shoulder. They explain the mana outage is caused by the presence of the fourth princess, Lady Aya. The two girls kneel to gather some fallen books, while our main character offers a polite apology. She begins picking up some stray papers that are covered in very strange and unique magical runes. The girls kneel down to collect their things, while our hero apologizes and spots those weird rune papers. Our hero notices and starts sweating bullets. Talk about a high-pressure situation. It is her standing right there is the fourth princess, the absolute superstar of the kingdom. Back at the office, the headmaster is shocked the princess actually wants to enroll here. The old guy mentions he has been keeping a close eye on those war reports lately. He checks her grades to see if she is actually academy material or just royalty. Apparently, the front lines collapsed again since the legendary Mage of Ashes retired from duty. Because of that mess, the princess had to start studying these complex magic circuit diagrams. Lastly, the headmaster wonders where his old friend's talented disciple has run off to. As she tidies the books, our hero confirms that is definitely Princess Aya herself. She remembers this little girl begging for magic lessons in the library 6 long years ago. Wow, she really grew up. Our little student has turned into quite the refined lady. The princess just stands there looking all serious and grumpy while waiting for her books. She asks if our white-haired hero is a mage. Guilty as charged, she politely replies. The princess sighs, complaining that the academy is just filling up with more useless mages. She thinks nobody can solve circuits anymore. In her mind, everyone but the Ash Mage stinks. She wonders out loud how many lives were lost because of such mediocre magic users. She asks our girl if she even knows what being a real mage actually requires. Then she backtracks, apologizing for the rant and thanking our hero for the help. Wait, she missed a page. Our hero picks it up and calls out to her. She holds out the paper with a friendly smile, being as polite as can be. The blonde princess stops, realizing she did drop something, and turns back to grab it. Looking at the sheet, she wonders if this runic barrier circuit is finally the right one. Actually, that is a skeleton circuit, our hero says. The two just stare at each other. She explains it is a circuit based on human bone structure, catching the princess off guard. These circuits are legendary for being impossible to solve, even for the most elite mages. The princess asks for it back, but our hero suggests just tinkering with it a bit. The princess is stunned. Could this random girl actually be a hidden master in disguise? Feeling teased, she snaps back, telling our hero to solve it herself since she is confident. Our hero just wiggles her fingers and says, "See, just do this and voila!" Crickets. Nothing happens. Our girl blinks, wondering why her magic is pulling a disappearing act. The princess laughs, explaining that mana is restricted here by the power of the stars. She starts bragging about her star blessings, but our hero is already busy ignoring her. Suddenly, blue magic erupts. Runes begin swirling around the paper as intense energy starts glowing. She braces herself, planting her feet firmly so the magic blast does not send her flying. Every student is jaw-dropped. Magic is not supposed to work here. How is she doing this? An incredible aura fills the room. The students are speechless, wondering what kind of monster she is. A student asks how this is possible, though. The princess's presence should have blocked all manas. Our hero does not care about rules. She just keeps right on cracking that impossible circuit. Runes flood the room as she pours out her power, leaving everyone absolutely dazzled. The princess is beyond shocked. She cannot believe her eyes as the magic unleashes in waves. She is floored. Our hero just materialized that legendary skeleton barrier in a single blink. How do you even explain this? Solving it was a breeze, but explaining it is hard. Everyone quiet, someone yells, just as a massive magic wind knocks the students back. Finishing the spell, our hero tells the princess to watch closely for a direct demonstration. Her magic is so insanely bright that the entire royal palace lights up like a star. Back home, the girl checks for updates, but her mentor sighs. His friend is just way too stubborn. With a small cough, he explains that his old pal simply treasures the academy far too much. Feeling a bit down, our hero worries. Her assistant dreams are over. What happens if she fails? He tells her not to sweat it, they'll find a way. Suddenly, 3 strangers approach their forest hideaway. Their chat is cut short by a loud knock. Someone's outside calling out for the professor. But wait, without even waiting for a come in, the visitor starts barging right through the door. The mentor recognizes him as Sir Harville. Well, now what brings a royal guard to our house? The knight asks for young Rainaya, and the old man politely confirms his daughter is indeed inside. He reveals a glittering golden chest, packed with treasure and fine clothes, a special delivery just for her. Stepping forward, he announces these amazing gifts are sent straight from Princess Aya herself. Our white-haired lead is totally speechless. A royal gift from the 4th princess? No way. It's a celebratory gift for landing that awesome new gig as the Academy's newest teacher's assistant. From the legendary Mage of Ashes to a humble school employee, talk about a major career shift. Over at the Grand Palace, word reaches the princess that the magic circuits were deployed to battle. Her advisor looks worried, but the princess remains cool as a cucumber. "What's the matter?" she asks. He's nervous for Rana. That barrier circuit is super tricky, and one wrong move could be disaster. Vendi says sorry for being blunt, but the princess smiles. "Don't worry, it's natural to feel that." Looking a bit solemn, the blonde princess sighs, and that's exactly why we're all meeting today. Word on the street is that every single Magic Tower Master is showing up for this event. As she stands, her butler asks the big question, will our white-haired heroine actually pass the test? With total confidence, she declares, "She'll pass for sure, you guys just have to believe in her." Gazing out at the sun-drenched woods, she vows to make this entire meeting a total success. Back home, our girl's horrified. She has to wear a fancy dress to the meeting. "Oh no, it's a gift from the princess, so you have to wear it," her mentor insists. "Now hurry." She wonders about the rumors. Are all the legendary Magic Tower Masters really gathering together? The old man nods. Yep, it looks like every single one of them is planning to show. They heard a talented new student has arrived, and they're itching to put her skills to test. Since the princess is coming, she needs to look her absolute best to wow the high and mighty crowd. A few minutes later, she steps out looking super sharp and professional, just like a real teacher. She realizes it's the exact same style she wore back when she was tutoring the princess. Nostalgia. She takes a quiet moment to think about the princess and their past lost in her thoughts. Then she wonders, does the princess just hand these out to everyone? She feels slightly let down. The vibrant pink blossoms turn their journey into a scene straight out of a lovely fairy tale. The mentor and his foster daughter head off, keeping their fingers crossed for a successful day ahead. Lounging in a comfy chair, a spectator notes that a guy named White is looking pretty jittery. Actually, that's the master of the Black Magic Tower. He admits he can't blame his nervous pal. The Grey Tower folks are coming. He jokes, trying to break the ice. "I'm getting anxious too." The White Magic Master scoffs. "Nervous? Please, I'm just so relaxed that I look like I'm vibrating." They start bickering until the Black Master teases, "At least I don't waste elixirs on anti-aging spells." Suddenly, a man in glasses commands the room, "Attention everyone, Professor Vontrias has officially arrived." Right behind him is his assistant Rana, who steps into the room with total grace and poise. Every eye in the room locks onto them. Everyone is dying to see if this girl is legendary. The massive power gap between towers was all thanks to the legendary leader of the Grey Tower. Snowman thinks to himself, "Phew, thank goodness old Rosal didn't bring that absolute monster with him today." Seeing her friend arrive safely with her mentor, the girl beams. Things are finally looking up. She pops right up to greet her new teammates, totally pumped for the day. Strutting in this fancy outfit is super awkward since she's just not a dress person. The three professors just stare, trying to figure out her uniquely quirky personality. They agree her mana control is amazing, but she acts way more normal than expected. A few whispers suggest those rumors about her using mana might just be tall tales. After a few minutes, everyone finds their seats so the meeting can officially begin. Once she and her mentor sit down, she feels a total vibe check failure. Finally, a polite lady gives the signal for the princess to kick things off. The White Tower Master takes the floor, warmly welcoming the professor's brand new assistant. She explains the masters are here to see what Renal Vontrias is truly made of. Old Rosal from the Grey Tower is in charge of checking her basic mana skills. He notes that, as the new assistant, our girl needs to join the class. She thinks this lady has some serious sass right before a hand slams the table. Grabbing everyone's focus, she announces Rhea will be teaching the star student Lord Lark. He's the future heir of House Grace, the legendary Commanders of the North. She challenges her skills, teasing that she can see the stage fright on her face. She offers a chance to quit, but the old man introduces the White Tower's student. He jokes she's only bragging because she's got such a high-profile student on her roster. The Black Tower Mage nods along, and she admits the old guy still knows stuff. But then the Black Tower Mage admits his pal isn't sold on her teaching chops. In fact, he claims his own student Belno is actually the strongest kid there. He brags no White Tower kid could solo a whole organization like his Belno did. Her mentor starts sweating, realizing this is the scary new recruit from the Black Tower. The two masters start a hilarious finger-pointing match, trading insults like they're on a playground. As the petty squabble goes on, a bearded gentleman watches with a disappointed look. He finally speaks up for attention, which luckily shuts the bickering duo right up. He mentions he totally gets how the Magic Towers feel about Aplea Academy, but he thinks the students themselves should be the ones to judge his daughter's skills. It's a solid point, and our hero smiles, thinking that sounds like a fair deal. He tosses some paperwork onto the table, showing everyone his plan for the next steps. It's all about the placement test every student takes before the school's opening ceremony. He's making his daughter a supervisor if she nails it. She's officially a teacher. This makes our hero nervous. This test is a huge deal for such a famous academy. Feeling totally anxious, she wishes she'd had a heads up about this whole supervisor thing. Fast forward a bit, and we find ourselves at the edge of the Herman Forest. A guy in glasses starts shouting instructions to the students about the big test. The students are super confused because they've already taken this test once before. One student guesses that a retake means the competition this year is just way tougher. Another kid starts complaining, shouting about why they have to be in this lonely forest. Losing his cool, the instructor warns the troublemakers to behave or get kicked out. All the talking is making one mage super sleepy and he starts yawning from boredom. Suddenly, 4 students make a late entrance while someone yells out to announce them. These are the academy's 4 heavy hitters, and yep, the princess is leading them. Rumor says that blonde girl is history's strongest mage backed by the magic towers. Our girl feels outclassed by their style, wondering why everyone is so noisy this early. Once the gang is all here, our friendly supervisor kicks off the official rule reading. Moments later, a glowing runic sign pops up right on a nearby tree. Finishing up, the teacher kindly offers to repeat everything if anyone felt a bit lost. She heads toward the arena, while the boy cheers that the big exam is starting. With a huge yawn, she sighs that a big coffee is her only hope now. The helper begins by greeting the seniors and laying out the basic game plan today. He introduces his shy new partner, Renal Vontrias, who gives a polite, flustered hello. Everyone whispers, wondering if she is actually Professor Rosel's secret adopted daughter. This forest trial splits everyone into 4 different zones to keep things interesting. Teams will scatter toward the north, southeast, and west regions of the woods. Once spread out, teams must find the magic stones hidden in each zone's center. Both defense and all-out attacks are totally fine within the school rules, of course. But if things get too wild, the teachers will jump in to keep everyone safe. Most importantly, stay far away from the heavy mana leaking at the forest center. Making sure they listen, he asks if everyone knows why that center zone is forbidden. Our main character wonders why a simple school test needs such a spooky, dangerous setting. Smirking, the boy fixes his glasses as a cheeky new idea pops into his head. He mentions Rana's post isn't picked yet, which catches the poor girl completely off guard. Since she was a bit late, he figured saving her spot for last was best. Summoning a runic map, he assigns our girl to watch over the chilly northern region. He cheerfully claims it will be easy and says he trusts her skills completely. As he talks, students start worrying about sending a total rookie to the dangerous north. Every student stays locked in, hanging on to every single word of the briefing. Finally, the man shouts that the official class exam is ready to rock and roll. Teams huddle inside glowing blue circles ready to be teleported to their assigned battle zones. A shocked Rana starts overthinking things now that she is headed for that risky north. That guy with the glasses keeps pestering our main character about the scary northern zone. Sporting a weird grin, the man hints that the north is a very special place. He flirtatiously adds that Belno, the Black Tower's top prodigy, is waiting there. Plus, he mentions that the White Tower's legendary ace, Lark Van Grace, is also there. With both powerhouses in the north, he asks if Rana is actually feeling brave enough. He teases her, asking if she is scared of handling a few scary geniuses alone. Tower Masters are rivals, so things will get ugly if any star students get hurt. Rana worked years for this job, and will not let some silly danger ruin it. Fixing his spectacles, he warns her to be careful around those 2 fierce battle mages. Nervous, but determined, she claims she is fine while thinking he is totally underestimating her. Watching the teleportation begin, our main character sighs at how many weirdos are in this academy. Tucked away in the shadows, Mr. Four Eyes starts laughing like a true cartoon villain. Over at the Black Magic Palace, the director gets word that the games have officially begun. Relaxing in his chair, the Dark Director waits eagerly to see who survives the chaos. Secretly, he is clutching Rana's profile, studying every single detail of her mysterious past life. He planned to wait for scores, but a strange detail on her file caught his eye. Suddenly, little Rana is now supervising the absolute best student in the Black Tower. He alone remembers his tower's secret research on rare people who can actually store spells. Even with his wisdom, he is missing something very important. Even after all the tower's research, he can't fathom how many spells are hidden in that girl's body. Not even a master mage could decode those ancient circuits. He regains his cool and finally relaxes. He figures he'll just enjoy the class test for now, ensuring nothing ruins the final results. With a confident grin, he tells his student that no disciple of the White Tower can defeat Bell. He speaks up boldly, noting he can already see the doubt on the old mage's face. Meanwhile, in the northern forest, a massive surge of magic is totally overwhelming the surrounding area. The test begins, and one student charges through the dark woods without a single fear of losing. Suddenly, a powerful red magic starts pulsing from the ground right beneath his feet. Using shadow weaving, the boy spreads his magic across the dirt and up into the trees. In another part of the north, a different student walks with total confidence and grace. The White Tower disciple stops when he spots something, calmly analyzing the situation ahead. He notices the Black Tower student wondering if this is the boy his master mentioned earlier. Belno remembers his master's words insisting that his only job is to prove he is the best. That memory fuels him. His eyes start glowing with a fierce, swirling red energy. Feeling confident, he tells himself this isn't any harder than his usual tower chores. However, the white-haired boy spots his rival and panics, wondering how to avoid a quick defeat. He pulls a sledgehammer from his cloak, shouting that real warriors don't hide in the shadows. Hearing that the Black Tower boy charges at full speed, radiating a surge of magic energy, Belno unleashes a blast of red mana, hoping to end the fight with one single decisive blow. But the White Tower kid is ready. He tosses his sledgehammer and axe straight at his rival. The axe is strong enough to cleave the red energy in two, blocking the attack for now. It's a clean save. Impressed, the young man watches his axe while planning his next spell. He decides to enchant the blade or throw it aside to avoid being defeated so quickly. This intense scrap is wearing him out, and he's struggling to dodge the next incoming attack. He catches his balance on the ground, admitting this is way tougher than he first imagined. Suddenly he looks for his opponent, only to realize the guy has vanished into thin air. Something catches Belno's eye. From high in the trees, the boy watches, but he can't react. He looks up to see his enemy, diving down, thinking he looks like a true battle mage. The northern successor leaps from the branches, using haste, swinging his sledgehammer for a heavy strike. Before the blow lands, the White Tower disciple creates a red shield to block the impact. Lark jumps away from the energy landing gracefully so he can return to the fight in style. Watching his rival, the emo-haired boy, realizes the rumors about him slaying a troll were true. Seeing a man who isn't even tired, he knows this fight will be a real challenge. But he points a finger and declares that he hasn't lost this match just yet. A swirl of red energy gathers around his hand, powering up his next big strike. Using tons of mana, he triggers an offering magic, breaking his finger to unlock some epic power. The red magic surges up to the treetops, showing everyone that his power is truly growing. Someone watches the duel from the canopy, commenting on how skilled these young kids are. Our hero observes everything closely, laughing that these boys are full of energy and fun to watch. She jokes that the Tower Masters bragged so much it was hard to tell what was true, but she reflects that both of them are actually very skilled and interesting to watch. Looking at Lark, she thinks he could be sent to a real battlefield this very second. That's clearly why the White Tower is so proud, but looking at the Black Tower's disciple, she feels a bit bored. She notes that even for a real battle, he's trying way too hard. The stars are called the truth, for they represent all the magnificent glory of the world. Mages receive power based on the price they pay, making this core exchange the vital foundation for every caster. The Divine Scale facilitates this trade, swapping personal sacrifices for incredible and unique magical abilities. Mastering the inner workings of the Divine Scale is a rare talent that truly unlocks a wizard's potential. Only the most elite practitioners can properly navigate these complex and dangerous mystical laws. Since some couldn't bond with the stars, they forged a dark imitation of the Divine Scale instead. This blue flame scale feeds on necromancy and bone, demanding much grimmer tolls than its holy counterpart. It requires physical flesh as payment. Lark feels the pressure while venturing down a path he truly detests. Belnoa mentions that fighting without a weapon wasn't exactly part of his original plan today. After snapping his finger for the black scale's price, he calmly claims that sacrifice is just natural. Suddenly, 4 of Belnoa's fingers snap as crimson energy floods the entire combat arena. Watching from a distance, the white-haired youth winces as shadowy veins creep across his features. As his foe draws near, Lark's gut screams a warning that he's facing a truly monstrous power. Gripping both axes tight, he considers backing off to scout for a better opening, but he laughs that thought away, grinning as he vows to never take a single step back. He lunges forward at high speed, declaring that real warriors keep pushing through any obstacle. Concentrated and annoyed, the Shadow Mage mocks his opponent's reckless charge, calling him a total barbarian. Both duelists charge their ultimate moves, ready to end the fight in one explosive magical collision. It's a stalemate yet again. As Lark swings the Black Tower, Student conjures a massive magical shield. The heavy blade fails to even scratch the dark barrier, making the strike completely useless. Growing frustrated, the White Tower student notices a terrifying shift in his enemy's presence. Fuming, the Black Tower mage snaps, demanding to know who gave his rival the right to define normal. Hungry for more strength, he stares down at his left hand, ready to sacrifice more fingers. He triggers the blood pact, snapping 3 more fingers to supercharge his shadowy sorcery. The crimson mana intensifies with every sacrifice. Lark senses a heavy, eerie pressure filling the air. Despite his shattered hands, Belno's power peaks as he waits for the perfect moment to strike. Lark rushes in with his twin axes while his foe retaliates with a barrage of energy blasts. Suddenly, Reinaya steps between them and shouts for the duel to end immediately. Frustrated, the white-haired mage grumbles, realizing his body has become completely paralyzed. Lark is stuck, too complaining that his muscles refuse to obey even his simplest commands. Strolling calmly, Reinaya explains that violence must be stopped before someone gets seriously hurt. Still composed, she deploys her binding magic and asks if they completely forgot the tournament rules. Raising her hand, she channels the Grey Tower's signature blue aura and begins casting a spell. With a graceful gesture, she vacuums up the crimson mana to protect the surrounding woodland from destruction. The Black Tower student stands stunned as she effortlessly wipes away every bit of his hard-earned energy. His hands are a mangled mess, with crimson fluid staining his combat gear. Looking on with sympathy, the girl examines his broken fingers, considering how best to help him. She decides to mend his wounds, and his shattered bones begin knitting back together at incredible speed. Still immobilized, he watches in awe as his body feels as fresh as if the battle never happened. Breaking into a sweat, he realizes this assistant just completely nullified his pact with the Shadow Scale. He's baffled by her power, but she just offers a serene look, treating the feat like a minor chore. Within just a few minutes, the young mage is returned to his absolute peak condition. Feeling dejected, the white-haired boy hangs his head and admits he's been defeated. He believed there was no escape from this fight, and now kicks himself for his reckless choices. He thought crushing his foe's arm would dispel the shadows, but his strategy completely backfired. He realizes that even without limbs, the shadow would only linger and grow even more formidable. With a humble bow, he admits this is his total downfall. Accepting defeat, his heart sinks over how this battle ended. He then shifts his gaze to the girl, curiously asking if the professors are actually stronger than her. He wonders if she's way more than a simple supervisor, which honestly bugs him. He groans that this whole thing is just tedious. He ponders why 2 elite high-levelers are in the same zone. Maybe the academy is secretly plotting to see one of them fail. Lost in thought, the girl decides they're both worth training and wonders if they'll actually survive her little test. Suddenly hitting on a brilliant idea, she beams with joy and shouts for the 2 of them to follow her lead. A bit of time passes as they hike toward a restricted high-stakes zone deep within the northern forest. Both boys start getting a weird vibe, realizing this isn't exactly a standard route for a supervisor to take. She leads them right to the Mana River, a totally forbidden zone. Stepping foot here is a massive disciplinary no-no. Flashing a cheerful smile, she politely asks the 2 boys to step into the magical river for just 60 seconds. She promises that if Mr. Emo can last a minute, she'll ignore his dark magic slip-up. Lark gets the same deal. If they endure the river's pressure, she'll even personally ask Professor Roselle to bump them into the elite ranks. Wiping away nervous sweat, the emo boy snidely asks if her pride won't get in the way of keeping her word. Legends claim that anyone touching the Mana River will have their veins explode. Honestly, though, that's mostly just a scary rumor. In reality, your vessels just get shredded, and your lungs fill with fluid with a tiny chance of visiting the afterlife early. The 2 hesitate, wondering if they should actually go in, both admitting they're totally freaked out by the possible outcome. Finally, the Black Tower disciple steps up, deciding to brave the waters just as the girl requested. This fires up the white-haired boy, who declares that if his rival is in, he's in too. A northern warrior never retreats. Belle rolls her eyes, thinking that being stubborn doesn't mean you have to enjoy being outclassed by a rival. He pushes that thought aside. Calmly, the girl stands by the bank and signals them to finally take the plunge. Lark dips his foot in, first feeling absolutely nothing. He gets curious, thinking this training session might actually be a breeze. He expected instant defeat, but after just 1 second, a wave of agonizing pain suddenly rips through both of their bodies. Another second ticks by, and the emo boy is already gasping for air, completely overwhelmed by the sudden intensity. The girl starts her casual countdown while the 2 disciples struggle through pure agony, nearly hitting their breaking point. 1 more second in, and she casually tells them to speak up whenever the river's torture becomes too much to handle. She then plops down on a nearby rock, dangling her own feet in the water as if it were a relaxing spa. This totally shocks Lark, who's on the edge of collapse as magical fluid starts pooling in his mouth. Belno is in the same boat, nearing total defeat while struggling to breathe. Meanwhile, the girl is just chilling. She's perfectly fine and totally relaxed while the 2 disciples keep suffering as time slows down by the Mana River. Nearby, 2 other students are taking a breather after a long, exhausting trek through the dense woods. They start recapping their last fight, admitting it was a brutal struggle, and they barely scraped by with a win. One boy notes that even if the girl is the Grey Tower heir, her power level is still way off the charts. Looking toward the river's glow, they wonder why the air feels so heavy, sensing they definitely shouldn't be in this area. One of them complains that his body feels incredibly heavy, and he can't seem to catch his breath properly. Suddenly, his friend realizes that the infamous Mana River is only a few meters away from where they're standing. Terrified, they bolt in the opposite direction, screaming to flee before their lungs start filling with magical fluid. Back at the river, the protagonist keeps counting while her 2 allies fight for their lives, surviving second by agonizing second. At 47 seconds, the emo boy is looking pretty rough, nearly defeated by the river's overwhelming spiritual pressure. The white-haired boy isn't doing much better, pouring every ounce of his remaining strength into resisting the river's deadly influence. With only 11 seconds left on the clock, the girl continues to calmly observe her allies' desperate progress. They're actually tanking the damage pretty well. Bored, she rests her chin on her hand, looking totally unimpressed by the drama. At the 50-second mark, she turns toward Lark and calls out his name, preparing to drop some serious wisdom. She asks the boy to remember exactly how he felt while trapped in that freezing, natural blizzard. She reminds him of that hopeless cold, scared totally alone and with no one coming to save him from the frost. She then asks if he knows the special title given to those who actually conquer the fury of Mother Nature's blizzard. These folks are legendary champions, top-tier fighters who refuse to let minor setbacks slow them down. Meet the true icons of the North, the elite few who hold their ground until the very end. This totally fires up the student, and suddenly a bright blue aura starts exploding from his body. The kid is struggling against the river's heavy magic, taking shaky steps just to stay on his feet. After 2 more seconds, his eyes go completely white and start leaking once a full minute passes. His frame finally hits its limit and collapses from the agony. Still, he reached his warrior goal. If he'd fallen in, he would have been toast instantly, so she scoops him up just in time. Cradling her buddy, our protagonist is actually impressed by how well he handled all that crazy pain. Dragging him out, she admits she'd have passed him at 30 seconds since the odds were stacked. But he didn't need any favors, pushing through with everything he had to take those final steps. She glances at the emo guy and says the white-haired kid has way more heart than him. Giving him a little sass, she says it's pretty weird to need special items just for some pain. She grabs the boy's collar to keep him from breaking his hand, officially respecting his insane grit. She drops them both, realizing they've passed out. Honestly, just surviving that much pain is a huge victory. Looking at the 2 guys on the ground, she remembers being forced to do the same test. And back then, she actually failed strolling by the river. She wonders what her next move should be. The big question is what becomes of her now, and she gets pretty thoughtful about the future. They call this the Hermine Forest because of the ancient hermine tree that gives the place its name. That tree was a gift from a legendary dragon mage to the Aplia people many years ago. Above the tree, the river's mana gathers into a massive energy ball that could vaporize anyone instantly. Knowing she's totally fine, she just steps into the river and starts relaxing. What a flex. She explains that when you get close, all that heavy mana starts reacting with your own energy. That resonance turns into a crushing weight, basically trying to overwhelm anyone who gets too close. She looks around like she's searching for her keys, trying to remember exactly where the spot was. Staring at the water, she gets flashbacks to her own test and that horrible stinging pain. Her veins were screaming as the pressure tried to crush them, even causing some wild hallucinations. That was about 7 or 8 years back, and she wonders how much she can endure now. She did survive the Demon Lord's territory and all that nasty energy, so she's definitely leveled up. But this Mana River is a different story. She figures she should start feeling something any second. Suddenly, she stops in her tracks, looking completely confused about what's or isn't happening. She looks at the water and realizes she's already halfway across but doesn't feel a thing. With a massive grin, she's totally hyped and finally admits that she's become incredibly strong. Watching the river, she remembers the hero team's annoyance but admits all that training really worked. Meanwhile, in a rustic meeting room, a guy with glasses is absolutely losing his cool. He's shouting, asking why not a single student from the north managed to pass the test. He's terrified he'll get blamed for the failure, glaring at the others with pure frustration. Why the blank stares after failing our 2 best students? He yells, crushing a nearby paper. He's convinced this whole mess is going to fall on him since he was the boss. The mentor just scratches his beard calmly and mentions that it's not like everyone failed. The glasses guy accuses him of playing favorites for his daughter, but the old man cuts him off. He tells him to check the actual grades. See, Lark Van Grace has some seriously impressive mental grit. And the Black Tower kid, he's a total natural when it comes to both magic and fighting. Both of these guys are top-tier warriors who deserve the best education the school can offer. Plus, the old man asks if they'll be moved to the elite class like the supervisor wanted. Using his magic, he reveals a letter from the headmaster proving they earned this through pure talent. Fate puts them in the same class / Four Eyes is super nervous. Grandpa takes all credit. / the bearded boss calls the meeting to a close. Lacking an argument, he smiles. / yes sir, it is all thanks to you. Meeting adjourned. / the boss says it is time to part ways and head home. The girl is truly baffled. / how does that old man stay so lively? Master beams with joy. / he praises her performance during the first test. First time supervising. / you handled those wild students like a total pro. It was a nostalgia trip. / their magic style reminded her of rookie days. But she has a critique. / they were brawling instead of using magic spells. Magic saves lives in war / fighting hand to hand just leads to more bruises. Gramps chuckles. / hey, you inspired the whole battle mage class, you know. He ends the talk. Turning to his daughter, he makes a simple request. Stop whining and check the infirmary. / see if those boys are alive. She follows the path. / a wooden sign with runes marks the way. Stealth mode on / she enters the room softly to avoid disturbing anyone. Passing strangers make her blink. / wait, is the clinic really this way? Relax, I graduated here. / she knows these school hallways like her own home. A fancy mage stops her. / pardon me, are you the famous Renal Vontrias? Rana is not happy. / how does a failed supervisor dare show up here? The tower master scoffs. My someone has a very sharp tongue today. I am a tower master. / you should show some basic courtesy to me. She groans. / this girl acts like she is the most important person here. With a wicked smile, she sighs. / time to teach her some manners. She stomps her foot. You are just a nameless assistant. / know your place, little girl. Insults fly fast. / Rana is stunned by this woman's sheer audacity. The man behind her is terrified. / is she crazy? She is dangerous? He is shaking. / does she not know that unknown enemies are the scariest? Give her a break. / he tries to stop her, but it is too late. Crackling lightning begins to dance at her very fingertips. The sparks sizzle near her face. / Rana stays calm, not flinching once. She feels no fear. / she knows how powerful she really is. With legendary control. / she lets the sparks dance before her eyes. Pretty impressive, right? / the white mage asks with a smug, excited grin. Boom. / a sudden explosion rocks the room, catching everyone by surprise. Wild lightning surges from the rubble. / a huge hole appears. The white mage pales. / she spins around as debris rains down. Hey! She screams. Stop hijacking my spells like that, you jerk. He is frozen in shock. / it was not him, the girl did it. He glares at the girl. / I did not even see her cast that. His friend keeps yelling. / he coughs softly, trying to calm her down. He plays the fool. / showing off is rude. Dear, let us be polite. Drenched in sweat, he pulls her away. / let us find our disciples. Rana takes a breath. / she has to stay cool and calm. She listens closely. / they are already whispering about how to deal with her. Calming down, our girl realizes she earned a scolding for taking disciples to that forbidden mana river. Still, she pouts that they could have at least left her shoes alone. Looking at the mess from her high-level magic theft, she admits she went a bit overboard. Time flies at Aplia Academy, and what a gorgeous sunny day it is. A student walks through the halls, leaving everyone around her absolutely frozen with fear. Rumors fly about this pink-haired powerhouse who looks like she eats level 1 bosses for breakfast. This is Lizzie Eleanor, heir to the Grey Magic Tower and a total magical prodigy. Relaxing in her chair, she can't stop thinking about that mysterious mana river everyone is discussing. She gets completely lost in thought while trying to uncover the river's secrets. Flashback to 2 days ago, we see her manipulating a magic stone during a high-stakes test. Her classmates are shaking, suggesting they should just give up and move to a different region. Suddenly, she catches their whispers and focuses her senses to pinpoint their exact location. She closes her eyes, activating her shared vision skill to maximize her magical focus. This ability lets our purple-haired girl see through her bird's eyes, revealing that most participants have quit. Overflowing with confidence, she wonders if she should just claim her victory right now. Suddenly, her eyes snap open in pure shock as something impossible catches her attention. Through her bird's eyes, she sees our protagonist casually standing next to a precious stone. She is floored. Why is the girl soaking wet? when the only water nearby is the river. Watching her leave, she's baffled because entering that river should be an impossible feat. Not even the legendary Real dared to approach the center of those waters. While studying, she can't help but compare herself to the Grey Mage, hoping to finally surpass him. She sighs, knowing that beating him is almost impossible, which honestly makes her a bit sad. Back in class, the students are buzzing with excitement about today's mysterious lesson. The door opens, but it's not their usual professor. Talk about a plot twist. A cheerful Rana walks in announcing she'll be subbing for Rosal today. Surprise. She introduces herself with a bright smile, and the students are instantly hooked on her lesson. While listening, one sharp student wonders if this teacher is the girl from those wild rumors. The princess smiles, remembering Professor Caesar said this girl was just a family connection hire. The northern air is suspicious, though. Why would the professor suddenly need an assistant now? Despite the stares, our girl feels a lovely mix of nerves and pure joy. We see a memory where the mentor asks her to teach while he attends a meeting. Lei is absolutely speechless, realizing the assistant teacher is the same girl from the river. Passing out the assignments, our girl challenges her students to solve a tricky puzzle. She neatly adjusts her papers kindly, offering to answer any questions they might have. Instantly, a hand shoots up. A student already has a question for our new teacher. Curious that they found a problem so fast, she agrees to explain question number 30. The back row starts gossiping, claiming only Rosal could solve that legendary divine scale theory. She carefully analyzes the complex question, making sure she provides a perfectly polite and correct answer. One student scoffs, joking that the teacher is just pretending to know the solution. Another joins in the teasing, saying there is no way a first-day sub could understand this. They laugh, claiming Professor Rosal's advanced lessons are just way out of her league. A memory flashes of the old professor warning her that students don't have her genius mind. It's confusing for her, honestly, because this is just how she naturally learns everything. The old man insisted she shouldn't hold back, even if her students don't think like her. Shocked, she wonders if she should really show off, but decides it is better to stay polite. Deciding to be a patient teacher, she starts breaking down the tricky problem for everyone. Looking disappointed, the Grey Tower's heir admits she expected much better from Professor Rosal. Grumbling about the teacher, she notes that even with obvious favoritism at play, the girl must master the fundamentals first, as becoming an assistant teacher now is way too premature. This really bugs our main character, who claims materializing a divine scale is actually quite simple. We head back to Aplia Academy, admiring its grand and majestic entrance. Outside the headmaster's door, a group of grumpy men are whining about being kept waiting. Walking up, the old man is shocked to see such a huge crowd gathered there. They start venting that because of a certain someone. The students were totally distracted all class. Inside, the chatter continues as teachers ask if their colleagues saw the same weirdness. They confirm, witnessing the impossible, that the new assistant actually summoned a legendary divine scale. In the room, one professor just can't wrap his head around what he just saw. He scoffs, insisting no mere assistant could ever pull off such a high-level feat. He argues that summoning it requires mastery of stellar exchanges, which should be totally impossible. The bickering heats up since all the students saw the miracle with their own two eyes. Someone suggests a simple fix: they should just go and check the girl's skills personally. The bearded mentor groans, already dreading whatever chaotic mess his apprentice has caused this time. As he walks out, he worries about the lesson plan, unable to win an argument here. He grumbles that it is totally unprofessional for an assistant to cause such a massive scene. He yells that Dan Rose is a disaster who can't even keep his own student in line. Fed up with the constant insults, the headmaster slams his hand down with a loud thud. He barks for silence, snapping that if they doubt her talent, they should just watch her work. He declares they should judge her in person, using his full authority to issue a final command. The headmaster decides to force the assistant into teaching a high-stakes open class for everyone. Over at the school, runic papers are swirling everywhere, all belonging to our favorite purple-haired girl. She stares in shock as her homework creates a giant paper carpet across the entire floor. Blushing from the embarrassment, she quickly bends down to gather her scattered belongings. Suddenly, a tiny fairy pops up, chirping that she will handle the cleanup and checking on her. With a burst of speed, the fairy collects every sheet and tosses them toward the boy. With a magical snap, she organizes everything perfectly, bragging about how easy the whole thing was. Even so, the girl isn't smiling, keeping her face set in a very annoyed scowl. She is still reeling from class, wondering how that assistant summoned the scale with such effortless grace. While someone helps grab the final paper, she keeps questioning if it was all just a trick. It turns out Lark found the last page, asking if she really had to be so dramatic. Annoyed, he mentions the upcoming open class and asks why she looks so incredibly grumpy today. She snatches her paper back, telling her classmate to stay quiet since he doesn't have a clue. He fires back, telling her to stop bottling up all her feelings like she always does. Meanwhile, Emo watches the whole drama unfold, dropping a few sarcastic remarks from the sidelines. He notes that anyone walking past could practically feel the spicy tension between those two. He claims none of this would happen if she had just stayed up north during her exam. The white-haired boy chips in saying she shouldn't have to prove herself in a public class. Emo jokes that even barbarians get it, but Lark tells him that was way too mean. The constant bickering doesn't help at all, leaving our poor girl blushing and sweating with nerves. Finally snapping, she tells them both to zip it. What would two tower geniuses know anyway? Stomping off, she huffs that the Grey Tower has always preferred staying hidden in the shadows. However, she stays behind, convinced our hero has lost her marbles prepping for this massive open class. Every Tower Master is attending, meaning no amount of luck or clever tricks can save our main character now. As the sun dips behind the trees, we find our hero at a cozy cafe receiving praise for her diligence. The waitress arrives right on cue, serving up the fresh coffee the new teacher requested. She blushes a bit, still feeling pretty shy about being addressed with such a fancy title. A steaming cup of black coffee arrives, complete with a few sweet sugar cubes on the side. Toying with the sugar cube, she wonders if regular teachers really face such intense open class pressure. Amidst her jitters, she questions if this is normal, only for us to see she's chatting with the princess. The princess offers a warm compliment, making our hero jump. Did she accidentally blurt all those thoughts out loud? You were thinking quite loudly, she giggles. Our hero notes a student treated her to coffee after class 1. Sipping her brew, she smiles, thinking her first lesson must have been a hit with the kids. The blonde beauty chimes in, recalling how they first crossed paths during that hectic class exam. She loves our hero's unique flair, noting how her fidgeting when confused reminds her of someone special. Our hero tilts her head, scratching her chin while trying to figure out who she could possibly resemble. Rising from her seat, she beams a radiant, sugary, sweet smile at the princess in gratitude. She happily notes that things are looking up, feeling much more confident thanks to their little chat. Duty calls, so she heads off to prep, leaving the princess excited to witness the upcoming lesson. Fast forward a few days, and the highly anticipated morning of the big open class finally dawns. A group of grumpy professors huddle around the announcement board, scoffing at the topic of mana exchange. The announcement itself is penned in a mysterious glowing script made of complex ancient magic runes. A four-eyed professor grumbles that an open class is unheard of at this academy and feels totally bizarre. His buddy doubts the director even greenlit this, and soon enough the faculty starts bickering like children. Meanwhile, the masters of the White and Black Towers have arrived, entourage and disciples in tow. Hearing an assistant is teaching the White Tower Master laughs, claiming she smells something totally rotten nearby. Taking the bait, the man snaps back, suggesting that the stink she smells is probably just her own perfume. Their petty feud reignites instantly, leaving their poor disciples standing there in awkward, wide-eyed silence. The resident assassin sighs to his pal, annoyed that he got roped into attending this boring lecture. Suddenly, the clear chime of a bell echoes through the hall, signaling the start of the event. Our hero realizes it's showtime, gliding past her students shrouded in a mysterious magical glow. As she strides toward the room, both powerful directors lock their eyes on her, scanning her every move. They spot her clutching a thick folder, absolutely stuffed with pages covered in intricate glowing mana runes. The room falls dead silent. The moment she enters, every single student hanging on her every word. Picking up a simple wax crayon, she prepares to prove she can actually manifest the legendary mana scale. The hall is standing room, only packed with eager faces, waiting to see if she can pull this off. With onlookers spilling out the doors, she calmly begins chalking ancient runes across the massive blackboard. She starts off by announcing that today's lesson will cover the fundamental basics of mana exchange. Introducing herself with a polite grin, she humbly asks everyone to ignore her lack of elegance and focus. Keeping her cool, despite the massive crowd, she steps into the light and officially kicks things off. A crusty old professor scoffs, thinking a lowly assistant has no business leading a class of this scale. To everyone's shock, the White Tower director speaks up, confirming the assistant has her full official backing. She admits that, like any true mage, she's dying to see how this little lesson actually plays out. While she treats it like a fun game, the other professors watch intently, buzzing with nervous curiosity. Centering herself before the storm, our hero takes a long, slow breath to steady her fluttering heart. With a final calm exhale, her face settles into a look of pure, focused determination for the trial. Surprisingly, she starts with the basics, just 3 steps for a spell. Everyone expected fireworks, not a nursery rhyme. Our hero's strength is key, but remember, knowing a skill and teaching it are totally different beasts. These pros have centuries of magical wisdom. A newcomer shouldn't be able to breeze through this high-level stuff so easily. Suddenly, she cuts the old woman off, claps her hands, and manifests a spell that catches everyone off guard. With one casual gesture, she summons the legendary divine scale, leaving the prestigious faculty completely floored. Skeptics cry foul, while one grumpy teacher snaps that such flashy parlor tricks have no place in a serious classroom. Grumbling, the white-haired elder shoves people aside, desperate to get a better look at that glowing divine scale. Reality sinks in. She wasn't bluffing. Right there floats the ultimate star-tier magic, the magnificent divine scale itself. The stunned professors watch the shimmering magic drift while our main character starts her friendly masterclass. She cheerfully announces she will now demonstrate the first vital step to activating this spell. Tracing a glowing rune in the air, she explains that this stage is all about crafting the internal circuits. A golden star ignites within the rune. She merges her power with the scale, triggering a gorgeous burst of colors. A professor watches in awe, mesmerized by the sheer delicacy and grace of her magical technique. He whispers in wonder, amazed that such fragile-looking magic could actually be so flawlessly executed. As blue flames dance from her fingertips, she notes that step 2 involves paying the necessary price. Watching the sapphire fire, she explains that the currency for this magic is, of course, your own mana. Feeding energy into the scale, she warns that the amount must be just right, not too much, not too little. Precision is key. She adds that the mana flow must be perfect to balance the scale without it shattering. Success. The magic ignites, causing the divine scale to hum with a strange and mystical new energy. With a playful snap of her fingers, she reveals the final step, giving the spell its direction. She triggers the ignition, sending a massive, harmless, firework-like blast throughout the entire room. Beaming with pride, she confirms the successful materialization and reviews the 3 essential steps for spellcasting. Gazing at the brilliant flames, everyone is simply awestruck by the teacher's masterful skill. Miss Purplehair grumbles in the corner, clearly annoyed that the assistant teacher actually pulled it off. Breaking into a cold sweat, the White Tower director realizes her eyes aren't playing tricks on her. Nervousness sets in. She spots it subtle traces of genuine star magic woven right into the heart of the spell. This girl has total control. Constant practice has let real starlight settle deep within her magical flow. It is a rare phenomenon where at the highest levels, the very essence of magic becomes invisible. While the flames captivate the room, the elder identifies this rare technique as legendary extreme magic. Grinning, she admits she has seen enough. She always knew her friend was capable of such greatness. She looks around, certain that every student now understands the fundamental steps to weaving true magic. Continuing her lecture, the girl asks the class why we call our journey the Path of Magic. Reviewing the ancient text, she explains that it is called a path because it is meant to be traveled. On this journey, we polish our skills. She recalls being a young girl, devouring every magical book possible. She studied hard to perfect her style, reflecting on a lifetime of battles against countless magical foes. Years are spent striving for mastery. The black-haired man notes that this dedication alone explains their current level. He remembers long nights buried under piles of books, working tirelessly to become the master he is now. Glancing at the blonde girl, he says they all dive into the unknown while honoring the basic foundations. Finishing up, our hero shows the flaming divine scale, calling it the very bedrock of a mage's journey. The Black Tower director and his student are completely stunned, unable to utter a single word. The elder and her student who prayed for a failure or a scam are left eating their words. Livid, the old woman repeats the girl's words, realizing they are exactly what she once believed herself. Her student sweats bullets, realizing this wisdom isn't in any textbook, as he watches the scene unfold. The old woman slams her hand on the table and stands up with a thunderous look. She scolds the assistant, shouting that this was supposed to be just some low-level, third-rate classroom. Seeing his master's wild outburst, Lark looks on in total shock, wondering if she has finally lost it. Totally fed up, the mage stays silent, her patience having completely evaporated. Succumbing to the assistant teacher's weird charm, she starts clapping, though her face still says otherwise. Our future northern hero is baffled, wondering why on earth his master is acting so strange. He joins in, standing up and clapping so hard it startles everyone around him into following suit. Even the princess is beaming with pride today, joining the applause with a heart full of joy. But Lizzie isn't buying it. She just sits there with a stony face, clearly unimpressed, and refusing to clap. Our hero watches in awe as the entire room erupts in praise for her incredible divine scale summoning. Speechless and wide-eyed, she just stands there completely caught off guard by the sudden standing ovation. She takes a deep breath and lets out a proud smile. Finally, she proved her power was the real deal. With a grin, she casually mentions that those were just the simple basics of mana exchange. Class dismissed. Now, all anyone can talk about at Aplia Academy is their mysterious new teacher. In the halls, students are whispering about how absolutely amazing the assistant teacher, Rana, truly is. Walking by, she hears everyone wishing they'd seen her class, calling her divine scale a total masterpiece. A few skeptics laugh it off as a rumor, while others huddle together, buzzing with excitement over her feats. Being quite shy, our main character feels like all those intense stares are burning holes right through her. She panics a bit, wondering what she did wrong to get a sudden summons to the director's office. To her surprise, the director wants her to lead. He calls her the true future of all magicians. His tune sure has changed lately. Our white-haired heroine glances over at her mentor, seeking some answers. She spots him huddling with a bearded fellow who looks way more cheerful than usual today. Grinning ear to ear, the old man chuckles and asks if his joy is really that obvious. Alongside the others, the old woman can't stop praising the young lady's incredible performance in her last class. Even the Black Tower mage chimes in, admitting it is hard to judge someone's true power at first. As they stroll, the old man asks if she thinks she will head straight for the legendary Grey Tower. But first she must face the elders. He warns that they are likely watching her every move already. High up on a frozen snowy peak, someone is writing a heartfelt letter home to their father in red ink. Sipping his coffee, a noble-looking man with long white hair reads the letter with a very stern face. The letter mentions that a full month has already flown by since they first joined the academy. Every single day is a reminder of just how much more there is to learn in this vast world. Staring at a board covered in complex runes, he sighs, realizing the path ahead is a long one. It turns out Lark wrote the letter ending it with a complaint about how brutally hard studying magic is. Watching his teacher explain complex spells, he notes that just fitting in here is a challenge in itself. He admits he hasn't got a clue what anyone is talking about. It is all just way too complicated. His head is spinning. He feels like he isn't soaking up a single drop of knowledge from these lessons. But something keeps him going. Seeing his classmates slumped over in exhaustion makes him realize one thing. He is not alone in his suffering. He knows the road to becoming a mage is a grueling climb. Thud. Our heroine accidentally drops a book, letting out a heavy sigh as she clutches her forehead. "Oh man, this is a disaster," she mutters, looking around at the chaotic mess she has created. Books are literally everywhere on the floor and tables. It is like a paper explosion went off in here. She gives a nervous laugh, justifying the mess by saying she has been way too busy to tidy up. Flopping onto the couch, she realizes she hasn't had a single moment of relaxation since her teaching gig started. Then it hits her. If she just stays out of the spotlight, maybe she can avoid those scary elders entirely. Her old habit of running away from awkward situations has actually gotten a bit better lately, thankfully. Plus, her teaching is actually a hit. Nobody has even questioned her unique style yet. So, all things considered, it seems like her classes are actually going pretty well. But just as she settles in for a nap, a visitor pops in to have a little chat. Typical. Our hero is totally crushed, literally drooling while wondering why luck hates her today. Then the door creaks open slowly, cranking the tension up to 11. After a quick face wipe, our teacher asks what is wrong, only to see a familiar face. It is the purple-haired girl looking shy and gloomy as the teacher shuts the door to chat. Wearing a totally fake grin, our hero racks her brain trying to remember this girl's name. She is drawing a total blank. Suddenly, the girl leans in, sweetly wanting to share a secret. She has something on her mind, but she is blushing like crazy from embarrassment. Thinking back to being a handful in class, she offers a sincere apology for her past behavior. She admits she forgot how fun learning is, and it is all thanks to our amazing protagonist. Her passion for school is back. She finally gives a huge thank you for all the help. Just then, an unexpected guest crashes the party and walks right in. The newcomer chirps politely. Oh, so this is where our elusive assistant teacher has been hiding. It is a whole mob searching for her, including an elder from the famous Grey Magic Tower. He gives a respectful bow, totally wowed by her teaching. Another man beams with pride, bragging that a disciple of Rosal would obviously be this brilliant or even invent new magic. They gush over her gorgeous spells, amazed she has reached such a high level so young. Giggling to herself, our girl realizes that even after 5 or 6 years, some things never change. They are still trying way too hard. She never expected these lazy bones to actually come visit. Suddenly in the back, the poor student starts fumbling and dropping books everywhere. In a flash, a mountain of books hits the floor with a massive thud. To top it off, the girl lets out a loud shriek, panicking over her precious supplies. The 3 elders glare at her with pure annoyance as she babbles out apologies. Then the bearded guy has the nerve to call the poor girl completely useless. She is shaking with sadness while our hero watches silently, feeling let down by these elders. While the elders brag about their tower, our protagonist finally loses her patience. She has stuff to do. She politely but firmly tells them to hit the road. Defending her students, she reminds them this is a school, not their fancy magic tower. Students come first here. With a sugary fake smile, she tells them to have a safe trip home. They get the hint and storm out, grumbling and complaining the whole way. Poor Lesty is just standing there confused, trying to get her teacher's attention. Our hero tells her to take the back stairs to avoid those grumpy old men. She quickly slams the door, shouting that she is busy and will catch up later. Bye. Bam! The door shuts tight right in the face of the startled apprentice. She is left totally baffled as our hero heads back to a desk buried in paperwork. Suddenly, a strange red liquid starts dripping on the floor, staining everything in sight. It is coming from her. She just smiles, mentioning she actually forgot about it for a bit. As she wipes the mess, a sharp heart pain hits. That old ache is finally back. War rages at Kilmer Gorge. The ground is littered with fallen soldiers and broken blades. A captain screams for his men to hold the line, begging them to stay alive. Behind him, the troops are completely spent, exhausted by this never-ending, brutal fight. One soldier stares down a demon, praying for this nightmare to finally end. Can anyone survive this hell? Losing all hope, he finally closes his eyes. He just wants to rest. He truly cannot take another second of this. Suddenly, a blinding flash of light streaks across the battlefield, racing toward the enemy. The light obliterates the demon's hand, leaving our stunned soldier completely speechless. Who fired that shot? Then looking ahead, he sees Miss Leia's arrow glowing with radiant mana. Our star archer enters the fray. Her massive bow and bright presence instantly lift every soldier's weary spirit. Charging toward the beast, the girl grumbles about how incredibly annoying this whole situation is for her. She notches an arrow, sighing that using such a powerful attack right now feels like a total waste. But a hero's got to do what a hero's got to do. She releases a bolt surging with vibrant yellow energy. Hope ignites as the soldiers surge forward, cheering that the legendary divine archer has finally joined the fight. They urge a fearless charge against the demon horde, yet our poor protagonist still sinks helplessly to his knees. Feeling drained, he doubts they can win. Suddenly, a warm green glow begins to envelop his tired body. Look, the team's cleric is hard at work, restoring the boy's strength so he can get back in there. With pure faith, she prays for his recovery, channeling massive waves of refreshing, emerald, restorative magic. She is a top-tier support, but man, she looks totally grossed out by everyone else's messy fighting style. Finally, the main star Kyle arrives. Covered in golden light, he swings his blade effortlessly, clearing the path. The crowd goes wild. Everyone starts shouting that their savior, the great hero Kyle, has arrived to save the day. As the warrior effortlessly smashes through a demonic beast, the troops celebrate their team finally being at full power. After a fierce struggle, the soldiers finally raise the white flag, signaling a hard-won victory for the kingdom. Wiping away some sweat, the commander cheers and tells his remaining men to spread the glorious news of triumph. But wait, it was all a dream. Every soldier was defeated, and those cheers were just in the hero's mind. Coming back to his senses, a familiar voice calls Kyle's name, pulling him back to the harsh reality. A pink-haired girl gives him a big hug, frantically asking if he can still hear her voice. Cleaning her blade, she complains about the nasty zombie smell on their clothes and suggests a shopping trip. She whines about wearing the same outfit twice, causing the blonde woman to tell her to stop being silly. Fearing a lecture, she mentions that things would be way easier if that annoying mage were still with them. The cleric lets out a little chuckle, admitting that the mage actually was pretty useful back then. With a cheeky grin, she jokes that the poor mage is probably knocking on heaven's door right about now. Narrowing his eyes, the man boasts that the boy only survived that nasty curse thanks to his expert help. Night falls as we follow our main character through a quiet, dark city on his way to a mysterious meeting. He's glad he survived the agony, but suddenly a sharp wave of pain flares up in his chest again. Not again, he gasps. The dark sensation makes his heart feel like it is sinking into a crimson abyss. Determined to see tomorrow, he grabs his chest and triggers a unique ash-based magic deep within his heart. The mystical ashes coat his heart, numbing the pain and giving our hero a much-needed moment of peace. Looking at his blood-stained hand, he remarks that he somehow managed to keep this deadly illness at bay. But as he cleans himself up, he grumbles that this temporary fix won't solve his big problem forever. Feeling a bit frustrated, he keeps walking, wondering why he has to deal with such a difficult fate. He whispers about trading half his lifespan just to trap the demon lord's legs and buy a little time. Sadly, trying to protect his friends earned him a nasty curse right in the middle of his heart. It was his own choice, though. Now he navigates the empty streets, searching for a very specific person. He figures the house should be close. Stopping at a wooden sign, he smiles, knowing he finally found it. Feeling relieved, he spots a tucked-away, peculiar little house that only a handful of people even know exists. He mutters that the place is still as creepy as ever. Inside lives a bearded old man with dark eyes. Our hero just walks right in without knocking. Seeing the guest, the old man slowly stands up to greet them. He thinks to himself that he was just wondering who would come knocking so late at night. Spotting the girl's outfit, he chuckles that she still has those weird fashion hobbies from their previous meeting. Looking deep into her eyes, he calls her Renal, instantly seeing through her clever disguise with a knowing smirk. With a soft sigh, the girl laughs, asking if he really thinks she chose to look this way. The man sighs, asking if she's being a bit cold to an old friend. Your body and soul have changed. Pointing at the girl, he kindly explains that, oops, she now has a pesky little curse right in her heart. Thinking back on his past, the old man politely asks what he has been up to these last 5 years. The girl stays quiet for a moment, carefully choosing the best way to explain things to her dear friend. Weeks ago, in a busy city full of life, there was one tiny cluttered alley hidden away from everyone. Right there, 2 grumpy drunks are resting on the ground, grumbling funny little insults at our hero. The scene shifts back to a cozy tavern where tasty snacks and drinks are spread across the wooden tables. Our talented gray mage sighs, wondering why he is treated so poorly despite being the kingdom's top magical heir. He actually turned down that fancy life. He chose a 5-year quest with a team of heroes instead. To cheer himself up and forget his troubles, he enjoys a nice cold glass of milk at the bar. Glancing at his trusty wooden staff, he whispers that being kicked off the team was a total surprise. Feeling a bit shy, he leans on the table, admitting he is too embarrassed to face his master yet. Way in the back of the bar, a very interesting lady catches our main character's eye. She looks so elegant with red hair, our hero is shocked to recognize the famous succubus queen. A crowd of fans follows her everywhere, making our hero wonder what she is doing in this local spot. Outside, a catchy tune begins to play, keeping the whole city wide awake and full of cheerful energy. That lovely voice belongs to the queen. She strolls into the bar looking absolutely fabulous and drawing every gaze. With a charming smile, she tells her loyal followers that this is exactly the path they should follow. A whole parade of men follows her lead, totally dazzled by her incredible and magical charm. Glowing with pink magic, she politely asks everyone to stay calm and form a nice, neat line. She giggles, knowing her power. She jokes about enjoying a big, delicious feast at the bar today. Nearby, our hero follows the crowd, determined to see what all the fuss is about. Blending in perfectly, he watches as she playfully tells one of her followers to watch his step. Time for a little workout. The mage uses his magic to give his right arm a serious power boost. His other arm starts glowing with cool blue runes. Now that is a truly impressive look. Eager to clean up the world, he gathers his blue magic and dashes forward with a determined smile. The queen is totally surprised. She did not expect a surprise visit while surrounded by her many fans. Moving quickly, our hero tries to grab her, hoping to finish this little scuffle nice and fast. He uses a clever spell to shut the door, making sure the party stays outside for now. The fans watch the door close. Some head home, while others stay to see what happens next. She lets out a surprised yelp, asking him to wait because she is just so confused by this. A bit worried about the sudden showdown, she asks who this mysterious and powerful mage actually is. Without missing a beat, he uses a cool magic combo to give her a little pushback. He points a finger and releases his spells, making her feel quite worn out and very weak. Finally, he breaks her shield, neatly removing all her magical defenses in one single move. Feeling a bit weak, she realizes her fancy disguise and mana shield have vanished into thin air. Completely baffled and stunned, she wonders who this impressive and mysterious man could possibly be. The fun continues as our hero makes a cool sign with 3 fingers ready for his next move. He casts a weakness spell, and slowly but surely, her true appearance starts to peek through. She is not as sweet as she looked. She snaps her fingers ready to try a new trick. Our hero is just too quick. He lands a clever magic strike that really takes the wind out of her. That strike was quite the doozy. It leaves her feeling completely defeated and very out of breath. Feeling exhausted, she rests on her knees and looks up at her very talented rival. The mage stays calm, pulls up a comfy chair, and sits down for a friendly little chat. Seeing her finally caught, he wonders out loud if she is ever going to change her ways. Then it finally clicks. The succubus realizes exactly who this amazing and powerful man really is. With a cheeky grin, she recalls that he was just the lonely virgin mage from the hero party. That really grinds our hero's gears. She finally remembers his name just as he prepares to strike. He admits he'd have kept swinging until she got his name right. She pouts, asking if he'd hit a lady. He retorts that she's a succubus, not a fragile maiden. Now terrified, the girl starts begging for mercy. She begs him to let it slide this once, but with a mischievous smirk, our hero says absolutely not. Shivering, she warns him that only holy magic works. / without the saint, you've got no chance at all. She politely asks if he has a backup plan, / causing our hero to pause and brainstorm his next move. Stepping closer, he says he'll try anyway. The succubus is completely speechless, her eyes wide with shock. With a cheerful snap of his fingers, he asks, / can you handle a mana-filled strike? Better get ready. Tears well up as she realizes he's actually serious, / about sending her to heaven with just one hit. While the wall cracks behind them, she realizes it's definitely time for a clever exit strategy. Right before our hero strikes, the wall totally crumbles, making both of them stop and stare. Emerging from the wall with a vibrant purple aura, a warrior politely asks, Leap the succubus if she's doing okay. She's finally breathing easy, thinking help is here. Too bad our hero just realized the new guy's a high-level demon army warrior. Stepping inside, the warrior explains he followed the rescue signal and asks if that mage hurt her, feeling restless. Our hero notices this soldier is radiating some massive commander-level energy. Our hero's wondering why he's working this hard. With so many commanders around, this rescue mission feels like major overkill. Talk about extra effort for a low-level succubus. Suddenly that warrior goes full speed, charging right at our cheerful protagonist. He cheerfully stacks Twin Cast Power Boost and Crush for damage. With a polite nod, he unleashes a massive azure mana vortex. Whoops. That vortex sends the commander flying into a wall before he can even react. Talk about a setback. Seeing his opponent down, our mage strides forward with confidence, already prepping his next big level 10 spell. Watching the brawl, the succubus is stunned. How does a mage have the muscle to tank a commander? Staring at his raw strength, she wonders who this kid is and why his power is so high. Getting worried, she realizes she might be heading to the afterlife if this battle keeps going south. Suddenly, she has a brain blast. She remembers a secret way to survive it involves that marble orb. This artifact is high-tier magic. She recalls the Demon Lord only cares about farming sweet life energy. Since she's been grinding mana for decades, she sees a golden opportunity to finally make her move. If she uses the orb now, she can stall her foe and find time to escape. She unleashes red demonic magic at our hero, hoping to end his win streak for good. But wait, the orb is way too powerful. The magic starts spinning wildly out of her control. Massive energy fills the room as the orb glitches. Startled, our hero turns around to investigate. He's confused by the demon lady's new vibe. In that purple smoke, she looks totally overpowered. Suddenly, our hero's heart starts hurting. It seems that Marble Orb is having some nasty side effects. Feeling totally nerfed, he hits the floor, clutching his chest as his energy leaks out fast. On the brink of death, he starts coughing violently. His health bar is crashing. The floor gets messy as his life slips away. Things are looking grim for our hero. Peering through the dark mist, he knows that vibe. It's the same monster from 3 years ago. That's the big boss who cursed his heart. He could never forget the fearsome Demon Lord. Way too weak to fight. He wonders why is this spooky mist appearing inside a bar. As she approaches, he wonders how did a succubus get her hands on such an overpowered item. Looking totally ticked off, the woman intimidates everyone with her scary demonic aura. Despite the stabbing chest pain, our boy stands up. He knows exactly what this mist is. This is the Demon Lord's signature curse, Mist, the same stuff his old team defeated before. Who is this mysterious lady? She's hiding some serious power. Our main character senses 3 distinct spells hovering around her. First up, a total body makeover. Second is a mind melt. And third, total mystery. He clenches his fists, ready to fight. Demon Lord or not, you're not winning twice. Lightning crackles from his fingertips. With laser focus, he shouts, "Time to dump my entire spellbook on you." Seeing he's still got some fight left, the succubus lunges forward with pure, unadulterated saltiness. One spell after another, he lets those high-voltage sparks fly. Spell complete. It's curse versus curse now, he declares, and I'm not backing down. He hurls the lightning into a massive vortex. I'll prove these 3 years of grinding weren't for nothing. He zooms forward at full throttle, cranking the electricity up to 11. Tapping into that cursed mana, he sends a full power blast right at the demon lady. The blast is so huge it sends her fanboy minions flying across the map. Dust clouds swallow the city. That lightning just deleted the bar and the sidewalk too. Talk about a renovation. Amidst the ruins, our hero wakes up in a totally new body. Looking around, those 2 pesky demons are finally gone. Whew. Phew, he stands up and shakes off the dust, only to realize his spell storage is completely empty. Bummer. That mist looks super sketchy. Then again, risking his neck is just another Tuesday for our hero. He feels his face to check for scratches, but something feels off. Wait, his hair is super long now and his skin is soft and pale. He's looking a lot more feminine. Taking a closer look at his new specs, it hits him. He's literally in a girl's body. What did she do to me? He screams. He needs a plan fast, especially with the Demon Lord's army lurking nearby. He closes his eyes to focus. Time to get those lost spells back and level up again. He summons the divine scale with ease, a little trick he'll master even better in the future. He manifests the scale perfectly. Honestly, he makes this legendary stuff look like a walk in the park. The scale perks up and asks, "So what's a girl like you wishing for today?" No hesitation. She wishes for the curse to vanish and her precious spells to come back home. The scale wants its cut. She expected this and offers up 90% of her mana. Talk about a steep price. Even then, the scale is picky. Not enough. It whines. You're getting the budget version of this wish. Used to the scale's sass, she accepts the deal knowing her wish might come with some fine print. With a flash of light, the scale seals the deal and kicks the spell into high gear. Just like that, magic happens. Her wish is granted and her body starts feeling like its old self. Those stored spells start flooding back. Blue energy surges through her, lighting up the runes like a neon sign. Boom. Every single spell is back and hitting at 100% power. She's back to peak performance, looking like she didn't just survive a world-ending boss fight. To wrap things up, she points a finger and sends a little blue spark toward a glass shard. A vortex swirls at her feet as glass shards dance around her hand. Now that's some fancy footwork. She opens a glowing purple portal outside. The local townsfolk stop and stare. It's not every day you see that. What's that smell? They wonder. Is that demonic energy, or did someone just burn the toast? A soldier patrol rushes in to check the chaos. Everything was totally fine 2 minutes ago, they grumble. They eyeball the ruins. Wait a sec, someone used perception warping magic here. Sneaky, very sneaky. Scanning the weird aura, one soldier whispers a name under his breath. Escabel. He's sure of it. This barrier belongs to the 4th Sacred Skeleton King. He picks up a small orb. That succubus was a big shot commander, and this orb, it smells like the Demon Lord. He tucks the orb into his pocket. Definitely a mystery for another day. I can't just ignore this, he says. Time to do some detective work and solve this mess. He looks at his dainty hands. Really, a gender swap. There are way faster ways to kill me than this. He's super annoyed. Becoming a girl was definitely not on his to-do list today. He takes a breath and keeps moving. No use stress eating over it. This transformation isn't going away quickly. Time to adapt since this new life seems permanent. Our story moves to a cozy mystical shop at night. Relaxing in a chair, the girl catches her friend up on all the wild events from recent weeks. The shop is a total vibe, overflowing with glowing potions and strange magical trinkets on every shelf. While brewing a fresh batch, the man adds herbs while overthinking that mysterious, swirling black mist. He tells his buddy to stop joking around, but his friend insists he's serious. Just look at this body. The old man just grins, teasing that those 5 years were clearly generous to him, which causes a stir. Clearly words aren't working. With a quick snap, a burst of brilliant white magic floods the entire room. To focus on his brewing, the old-timer finally drops the magical disguise, hiding his true form. Surprise, he's an elf. Purple potion splashes everywhere as he admits he's totally stumped on a permanent fix. On the bright side, he promises he can at least stop that nasty curse from harming her further. He slowly pours the shimmering magical liquid into a tiny glass vial with expert care. Eventually, she manages to fill several bottles with the special medicine that keeps the corrosion at bay. She eyes the mixture skeptically, asking if it'll actually work. He admits it's just a temporary band-aid. Still, she'll survive without the saint's help. Our sharp-eyed protagonist gives her friend a very suspicious look. She calls him out directly, sensing he knows way more about this curse than he's letting on. He freezes for a second, hesitating before claiming his lips are sealed regarding the full hidden truth. They start bickering like usual, but the elf cuts them off, reminding her to take the potion monthly. Refusing a freebie, she offers to help him whenever he needs. The man stops to consider her proposal. He claims money doesn't interest him, but hey, since she asked, there is one tiny little problem. Something's creeping in the sewers lately. Down below, a purple wolf is oozing pure nasty cursed energy. The elf sent an apprentice to check it out, but no luck. She's shocked he even has a student. Flash to the sewers. A young man is glowing with a fierce, blood-red aura in the darkness. Naturally, our curious main character keeps digging for more info about this mysterious young guy. The elf corrects himself, saying disciple is a bit formal. He's actually more like a distant relative. His name is Belno, and he's currently face to face with that scary demonic wolf in the underground tunnels. Things are getting intense underground. This disciple of the Black Towers is fighting like an absolute legend. Facing a wolf army, the assassin shows no fear. He's got a date with Chloe tomorrow after all. He nicks his finger to trigger his magic, wanting to wrap this battle up as quickly as possible. Boom. A massive beam of dark energy obliterates a wolf, turning it into dust instantly. Even with a mangled finger, he doesn't miss a single beat, diving right back into the intense fray. He blasts another wolf with blood magic and slams a third into the floor from high above. Wolf bodies are piling up everywhere, floating away in the murky sewer water after his relentless assault. He laughs, remembering how he thought his teacher was insane for forcing him into that mana river. But wait, it worked. Wiping out another foe, he realizes this brutal training actually had some major perks. His spells are now way more efficient, packing a much bigger punch with less effort than before. Finally, the last wolf falls. Our hero catches his breath after that exhausting and grueling marathon fight. Suddenly, a noise echoes from the darkness. He turns around as someone approaches through the deep tunnels. It's the protagonist. She's walking toward him, radiating a crazy, powerful blue aura that lights the way. With hundreds of wolves around, the boy can't believe these undead are just wandering the city's guts. And yet, here's this girl strolling along, not even trying to hide from the mountain of enemies. Assuming she's a threat, the hero powers up and charges straight at the mysterious approaching figure. He sacrifices more fingers to fuel his strength, his power levels skyrocketing as he prepares to strike. Only the person who released these monsters would walk here so casually, he thinks to himself. He unleashes his secret weapon, the legendary Needle of Shadow's magic, to end this quickly. The Tower of Black's prodigy launches the spell at her, going all out to take her down. Seeing the Shadow Needle zoom in, she stays cool. She's already got the perfect counter ready. The assassin goes all out, swirling the water around to trap her before she can even blink. It's no use. She dodges his moves like they're nothing, proving she's faster than any northern warrior. Panicked by her power, he breaks his remaining fingers, desperate to unleash every bit of strength he has. A massive wave of shadow needles flies toward her. He's definitely playing for keeps now. Without missing a beat, she clicks on her acceleration magic and dances right through the deadly rain. She leaps high into the air, clearing the shadow blades easily while charging straight for the boy. Seeing her close in, the poor guy panics. He gave it his all, and it didn't even matter. As her hand reaches out, he realizes he's helpless. Her speed totally puts his magic to shame. She's right in his face now. At this distance, there is absolutely no way for him to dodge. But surprise, instead of a finishing blow, she just gives his forehead a playful little flick. Battle over. She laughs, telling him that Belle has actually improved quite a bit since they last met. Then, playing the teacher, she reminds him to master the basics. Lesson 1, don't attack random strangers. She finally reveals her identity, leaving him stunned. He never expected the assistant teacher to be down here. Totally lost, he asks why she's hanging out in the city sewers so late at night. She just shrugs, explaining his master sent her down here to tidy up the messy underground. Now he's really confused. Is she talking about old Cardi from the local potion shop? She snaps her fingers with a grin, confirming she's indeed talking about everyone's favorite elf. As she preps to leave the clean sewers, she mentions that she and Cardi go way back. Nearby, the fallen wolf bodies start to crumble away into nothing erased by her lingering magic. Still curious, the boy asks how old she is. She casually replies that she is only 21. The walkout's pretty quiet. She asks if he has anything to say, but he stays silent. Wait, he does have a question. He wants to know what she did before joining the Magic Academy. He admits it's pretty weird for a regular teacher to be such a beast on the battlefield. With stars in his eyes, he tells her that her movements were on a whole different level. A typical bookworm student could never move with that kind of deadly grace and precision. She gives him a mysterious look and jokes that she spent a lot of time in some gritty places. Suddenly, more cursed wolves crawl out of the dark, looking pretty angry about their fallen packmates. Feeling a bit bored with the interruptions, she decides it is finally time to end this little exercise. They find a rustic door guarded by a wolf pack. She nods, figuring this is their final stop. She fires up 2 massive spells, sending glowing runes spinning around the room for a final blast. The magic hits home. The wolves howl in pain as they completely vanish into thin air. Shielding his eyes from the light, the boy asks what kind of crazy magic he just witnessed. It looked like she was weaving multiple spells into one single devastating attack. It was incredible. Being just a student, he admits the logic behind that spell is way over his head. As the door creaks open, he catches a nasty whiff and wonders if they should really go in. With a knowing look, she says she can guess what's waiting and promises to be extra careful. Inside, they find a tomb with a stunning stone. Cut to the next morning in the city. Back at the shop, our protagonist asks who Belle is hanging out with these days. The old man says it is a childhood friend named Chloe. She's surprised he changed his looks. He explains that he put on a new face just to blend in better with the humans. Wrapping things up, she says she has to go. She's got a huge to-do list today. She sets a small altar on the table, explaining it was leaking a ton of nasty demonic energy. It was super suspicious to find something like that hidden deep underground and guarded by monsters. Worst of all, the marble was a perfect match for the succubus's stash. She's as sharp as ever. It turns out a perception barrier hid the item perfectly. No wonder everyone in town completely missed it. The old gentleman is left totally speechless. He just stares at the jewel, wondering what his next move should be. She adds that while the underground usually stays hidden, this situation is on a whole different level. Finding something this wild in the middle of the capital is super fishy. She warns that a huge mess is coming. With total certainty, she claims she can feel the demon lord's presence and lingering aura everywhere around them. 1 month has flown by since she started as an assistant. Honestly, so much has happened during that time. Slowly but surely, she is getting the hang of teaching. Her students at Aplia Academy are actually showing real progress. During today's lesson, she explains that certain spells have to be paired together to actually work the right way. She uses a specific imprisonment spell as an example, showing exactly how the magic circle should be drawn. Lark stays totally focused on the lecture. He carefully takes notes on every rune, determined to become the very best. Finishing her lecture, the teacher summons a glowing magical system to give the class a live demonstration. She shows them how to cast it, using almost no mana at all, then politely asks if anyone has questions. The students are completely stunned by her effortless magic. Since they are just beginners, it looks like a total miracle. Seeing their shocked faces, she worries that her explanation was too complex and that nobody understood a single thing. She gives a little awkward cough, thinking of ways to make her future lessons much easier for everyone to follow. She wraps up the class, telling them to study the notes on the board and spend the day practicing. While tidying up, she realizes that even though teaching is still new, today's session felt a lot smoother than usual. She suggests the students try casting the spell themselves before the next class begins to get some hands-on experience. Practice is the best way to fix mistakes, she tells them. With a friendly wave, she ends class for today. The students crowd around the blackboard, chatting and trying to figure out how to pull off that impressive spell. After finishing her duties, the girl heads to her room. She has a nagging feeling her master will scold her soon. She thinks back to all the times he complained about how she handles her teaching style and lessons. Even though some students find it tough, she knows many others have said they learned a lot from her classes. At the end of the hall, she spots another teacher, surrounded by students who need help with their lessons. He is super patient, breaking down a spell into the simplest steps so that every student can understand it easily. Eavesdropping as she passes by, she is amazed at how easily he explains the core principles of explosion magic. She starts sweating nervously. It hits her that she needs to try harder to make her own lessons easier to grasp. Watching his teaching style makes her wonder why she never thought of simplifying things like that before. She figures that if her students are lost, they will just end up trying to learn things on their own anyway. Just like that purple-haired girl did. Suddenly, a man drops a pile of papers and asks if she recognizes them. He looks at the stack and explains they are student complaints about her teaching, and wow, there are a lot. The girl gets a major case of the shivers, realizing it is finally time to fix her teaching style for good. The man reminds her that even with only 2 classes, she must read every critique to become a better teacher. One student complained that the magical circuits she uses in her examples are way too complicated and confusing. Another person mentioned that she talks way too fast, making it almost impossible for anyone to keep up. Finally, a third note says that nobody understands the complex terminology she used in the very last lesson. The man with glasses looks very annoyed. He asks her what on earth she has been doing in her classes. He tells her to think like a student. A bit grumpy, she admits she does not quite get what the problem is. She tries to defend herself, but the man is visibly frustrated. He tells her to calm down before he loses it. With a sarcastic little smirk, he remarks that a teacher who cannot actually teach is a pretty huge problem. He claims there is a massive gap between her and Selt, the previous assistant, who taught much more effectively. Curious, she asks who this Selt guy is. Her boss is shocked that she has never heard of him. He explains that Selt was a hero who fought right alongside Professor McCart on the front lines of battle. Serious injuries forced him to stop fighting, but he still follows the path of magic as a dedicated teacher. He teases her, saying that unlike some people, Selt actually cares about his students and helps them succeed. He claims to be a top-tier, highly respected academy educator while shamelessly belittling the poor girl. A little while later, the scene shifts to the cozy cafe where our hero always goes to recharge. As the bell rings, the friendly server tells the girl she's free to pick any comfy seat. We soon realize the girl at the cafe is actually Lash, looking for a quiet place to study. Plenty of students are grumbling because the professor's lectures are basically impossible to understand. So they all flock to Selt instead, since his teaching style is way more beginner-friendly. Being a total introvert, the girl wonders why on earth this cafe is so incredibly crowded today. Luckily, she spots a perfect empty chair and feels a little spark of joy about it. Taking a seat, she crosses her fingers and hopes her new neighbor won't be a total chatterbox. Suddenly, a boy named Lark spills his drink everywhere while giving her a super cheerful greeting. She's totally caught off guard, never expecting her friend to be hitting the books here too. To keep things polite, she double-checks if his name is Lark, and he happily confirms she's right. He mentions he's sipping on some black water while studying, leaving the poor girl completely baffled. She realizes he means coffee, but he notes that everyone around here calls it black water. He sighs that it's a tough task, and she notices he's making a hilariously stressed out face. There's definitely a reason for that, as his notes show he's tackling a very peculiar magic rune. The boy admits he's been stuck on this tricky problem since the sun came up this morning. He explains that his buddies often come here to study, while enjoying this famous black coffee. With his fingers messy from sketching the rune, the girl starts to notice the details of his work. This triggers a memory of her own intense study sessions, buried under a massive mountain of books. Back then, her tears would soak the pages, smudging the ink and making it impossible to learn. She used to cry because studying was so hard. Now she wonders what's confusing him so much. After a quick look, she realizes his method is exactly like the one in question number 3. Teasing him for his short attention span, she says she'll explain it once, so he better listen up. While others suggest asking Professor Selt for help, she tells him to just trust the books instead. Later, she hears that professor's name again and gets annoyed, trying to remember who he even is. Sipping her coffee, she realizes his teaching must be awful just by looking at his students' faces. She's really getting on edge after hearing more about this assistant professor who's apparently helping everyone. 2 polite students suddenly approach, apologizing for the interruption and asking for a bit of help. The man agrees immediately, and seeing him explain things so easily makes her wonder about his secret. Feeling a tiny bit jealous, she peeks over, wanting to see if this guy is actually that good. Meanwhile, over at Training Field 2, a terrified student is facing off against a massive, scary beast. It's a truly intimidating creature, looking like a giant boar, but with glowing yellow eyes and horns. Suddenly, a man bellows in anger, declaring the session over. This is the combat teacher, Claret. He calls the student pathetic and barks at him to get back on his feet immediately. The other students whisper, wondering if making someone fight a demonic beast alone was necessary. The grumpy teacher yells that their old assistant professor was 10 times better than any of them. One student about to fight wonders why the school keeps these dangerous monsters in the facility anyway. This beast looks even weirder than usual, glowing with a spooky red energy that feels totally cursed. Losing all control, the monster lunges forward, leaping high into the air to crush the poor student. This leaves him frozen with fear, completely speechless and far too slow to react to the attack. All the boy can do is let out a massive scream that echoes throughout the entire academy. We hop back to the cafe where our protagonist is still keeping a close eye on Selt. He's surrounded by curious students, and she wonders what makes his simple explanations so incredibly special. It's the same stuff she taught, but he explains it with such gentle care and kindness. Our main character explains everything perfectly, unlike the lady. Feeling miffed, she ponders her next move while sipping her coffee. But our hero spots something crucial, a massive gap between her own students and the ones Selt is teaching. His class is beaming. The professor's students clearly grasp the material and are making incredible progress. It is a total contrast to Rhea's group, who are constantly tripping over the basics and getting stuck. Watching the brown-haired teacher, she notices his genuine fire for education, left wondering what his secret recipe is. Filled with gratitude, the students head out, finally relieved, to understand the lessons that once baffled them. With a bright smile, the young man waves goodbye, clearly loving his work, rather than just doing a job. As the girl nears, he looks up immediately, noting it is the first time he has seen her clearly. Turning to his fellow educator, he politely asks if there is anything specific he can help her with. Curious, she asks if he recognizes her. He laughs, saying she is the talk of the academy, before inviting her to sit. This definitely rattles the main character, who starts fidgeting the moment she hears she is the local gossip topic. Ever the gentleman Selt mentions, she looks troubled and offers a friendly ear if she needs to vent. Feeling a bit shy, she admits his teaching style is magically effective and asks if there is a hidden trick. Stirring his drink, he chuckles, feeling quite honored that someone thinks so highly of his simple teaching methods. He clarifies there is no real secret, it is just that his students are young and in their early stages. They have many paths ahead, but they often hesitate, halfway paralyzed by doubts about their own choices. So he simply guides them with the same warmth and care that his own master once showed him. Thinking back to her lessons with the old man, the path forward finally becomes clear to the girl. Staring out the window, she admits that the subject is a bit heavy and quite difficult to discuss. The kind man nods, explaining his background in teaching and offering to suggest some helpful books for her to read. He then extends an invitation for her to check out his laboratory once they finish their chat. Intrigued, she mentions her schedule is wide open today and happily agrees to go with him. The pair heads out as he promises to show her the lab. Time flies, and soon the sun begins to set. Strolling through the grounds, the professor asks if he might pose a slightly personal question to the young lady. When she agrees, he asks when she first met the legendary Professor Rosso. But before he can finish, a loud shout booms across the area, instantly stealing their full attention. They turn to find the combat professor glaring at them, demanding to know what on earth they are doing. For some reason, the combat specialist is fuming as he storms toward Selt with an aggressive look. Our protagonist suddenly remembers that the boy with glasses had mentioned this professor's name earlier. Selt tries to explain they were just talking, but Maychart snaps, calling his actions a total waste of time. Fuming as always, he tosses his papers and screams that another savage demon is running wild nearby. Inside the class, the beast trashes the students, making Selt look like a total amateur. Maychart growls that if he cannot handle his duties, he should just pack up and head back to the battlefield. He storms off, barking a final warning for a full report on his desk by the end of the day. Concerned for her colleague, she asks if he is all right. Selt looks a bit awkward, but insists this is just normal. While picking up his papers, he explains that the combat professor believes in teaching through life-or-death struggles. That is why he breeds demons in the lab, though he admits the research has hit a bit of a wall. The girl agrees that experience matters, yet she wonders if creating cursed beasts is taking things too far. Shrugging it off, the man simply says that, in the end, it is all for the sake of science. He trails off, leaving her hanging, but when she asks for more, he quickly brushes it off as nothing. He jokes about the weight of his gear, and she playfully snaps back, boasting about her own impressive strength. The two keep chatting as they stroll through the school halls until the moon rises high in the sky. Now, under the cover of night, they arrive at the forest training grounds to continue their deep conversation. Suddenly, a fierce battle erupts nearby, with streaks of crimson energy blasting through the dark trees. Actually, someone is pushing their magic to the limit, shattering timber to hone their deadly skills. Bell is training hard, but he cannot help grumbling about how totally wiped out he feels. He is still obsessing over that creepy altar and its weird aura from his last mission. Since the professor ignored his concerns, Bell is surprised when someone suddenly approaches his spot. It is his buddy Lark, who did not expect anyone to be training this early. Noticing the shredded trees, Lark praises his friend for his legendary new level of accuracy. He jokingly asks if Bell has a secret mentor or a special new training routine, while Bell retorts a hidden army of demonic beasts watches them from within the shadows. They chat about random topics until Lark suggests turning their training into a friendly competition. A challenge sounds fun, but then the assassin spots something he thinks is quite hilarious. He jokes about demons appearing in a plea, but Bell insists that would be completely impossible. Since they are on academy grounds, they just start figuring out how to count points. Suddenly, enraged dogs with a cursed aura charge forward looking for a serious fight. The challenge begins. The two friends shout and charge right into the thick of it. Meanwhile, at the academy dorms, a massive hole has suddenly appeared in one of the houses. Inside, a sleepy student complains that the wind is being way too noisy this morning. He groans that it is impossible to sleep with all that howling going on outside. Suddenly, a giant explosion sends a heavy stone crashing right through his bedroom ceiling. The student jumps up, wondering what that weird thing is and why it is moving. It is a literal demon, which should be impossible, thanks to the Academy's powerful barrier. They realize these beasts are used in combat class, which makes the whole situation very suspicious. An entire army of dogs arrives, forcing the terrified students to run for their lives. More dogs keep appearing, making everyone wonder if they are somehow multiplying every single second. One boy is cornered by the pack and closes his eyes, fully expecting to be defeated. Suddenly, slime coats the floor, and the boy realizes he is actually still alive and well. He is confused but relieved when another student explains that the evacuation has already started. Over at the third dormitory, we see powerful summons absolutely wrecking a wolf without mercy. The summoner Lei appears, politely mentioning that her classmates were just getting in her way. The boy thanks her for the rescue, and she simply replies she was doing her duty. Promptly, the girl activates a massive green magic circle to summon even more powerful allies. Preparing for battle, she calls forth fierce lions and sends them charging toward the enemies. Lei is confident that her summoned beasts are more than enough to handle these demonic dogs. She gives her summons their orders while she goes to investigate the real problem elsewhere. A wild battle erupts between the two groups of animals as they tear through the grounds. The girl asks her fairy to track exactly where this dark presence is coming from. She focuses her energy and realizes the source is hidden in the forest outside the dorms. They head toward the woods where a massive amount of energy is pulsing through the air. A giant stone golem with glowing pink eyes is trying to smash its way inside. This monster is so heavy that its footsteps shake the ground all the way back home. After a long struggle, the two friends are still busy competing over their monster kills. Seeing that the beasts keep coming, Bell asks his friend if he is getting tired yet. Lark just laughs and retorts that he is actually just getting into his groove now. Looking at the massive golem, Bell says he is finally warmed up and ready for more. The giant titan senses them and slowly turns its massive body to face the duo. Driven by instinct, the golem charges forward, crushing every single tree in its path. The assassin cracks his knuckles and gets ready for the real fight to finally begin. Our northern warrior buddy quickly maps out a strategy. Soon, both heroes tap into their special tower magic. Launching into the air, they channel vibrant blue and red mana to crash against the massive stone titan. Bell leads the charge with his red shadow needle. He unleashes a flurry of strikes to soften the beast. A direct hit on the shoulder. Sadly, it only oozes some icky green goo without slowing the titan down. Seeing his pal struggle, our northern warrior leaps high, readying a heavy-duty axe strike for the save. He triggers weight magic and soars over the titan, infusing his weapon with massive energy for a crushing impact. He hurls an axe with perfect aim, cracking the titan's rocky body and dealing some serious structural damage. Talk about teamwork. That weakened arm gets sliced right off, dealing a massive blow to our stony foe. Talk about a sore loser. The titan roars and sprays green juice everywhere, but it's still ready for more. As the giant lumbers forward, our Black Tower disciple sighs. Honestly, this should have been over by now, right? He's genuinely puzzled. Those hits should have pinned the monster down, but it's still acting like it's fine. Plot twist. This guy is tougher than he looks. To everyone's shock, that severed arm magically grows back. Our heroes are totally stumped. How are they supposed to win if the bad guy just keeps healing? Suddenly, a voice from the woods calls out the obvious answer, giving our white-haired protagonist quite a startle. A girl pops out of nowhere, teasingly asking if they really thought they could win without knowing their enemy. Stunned by her arrival, the boy wonders if she's an ally. She politely explains she can't ignore the chaos. Ever the honest one, Bell mutters that as a Black Tower disciple, he actually could have ignored it fine. She cuts him off, no time for sass. We must focus because this titan isn't your average garden variety monster. Here's the secret. This golem is powered by a magical core that keeps its entire body held together. If you want to stop the regeneration for good, you've got to aim straight for that core and smash it. Even the little fairy is tilting its head. The internal structure of this demonic golem is super weird. Plus, something's fishy at the academy. Those high-level barriers should have kept monsters like this far away. That means they didn't break in, they literally spawned right here on school grounds. Oh boy, that's not good. Feeling uneasy, the girl warns everyone to stay sharp. The situation is getting weirder by the second. Lark clarifies the goal, just smash the core. The girl nods, yep, do that, and everything gets much easier. The trio starts glowing with mana, gearing up for a tough fight to keep their fellow classmates safe. Without missing a beat, the two boys rush the front lines, leaving their new friend to provide backup. They charge ahead with their signature techniques, while the girl begins chanting some seriously cool-looking spells. Our White Tower warrior buffs himself twice. He needs to read the golem's moves before landing an epic blow. Boom! He delivers a devastating strike that sends green goop flying across the forest. That's gotta hurt. Sticking to the plan, Bell steps up to strike before the monster can start its annoying healing process. He taps into black blood magic, summoning a shadow prison that wraps the golem up like a dark burrito. Now for the finisher, the girl steps up, calling upon some incredibly powerful lightning fairies to join in. She stacks her spells to buff the summons, though the massive mana drain is definitely making her sweat. Belle's getting impatient, but she's got it. She finally calls forth the legendary MVP of all lightning fairies. Meet Syl, the legendary thunder fairy. She's here to bring the boom in the most epic way possible. Without missing a beat, Syl starts her routine, raining down bolts of pure electricity all over the battlefield. Runes light up the sky as an ancient storm erupts. A massive lightning bolt strikes the Titan's core perfectly. Back at school, windows are shattered everywhere. Someone grumbles about the extra work, no thanks to Professor Machart. The floors are a total mess, but the students are already busy sweeping and tidying up the place. Everyone's chipping in. One student sighs, "This is what happens when you sign up for monster duties." Balancing boxes on his shoulder, Lark politely asks if anyone needs a hand moving all this heavy stuff. They're super grateful. Honestly, everyone's just happy they're done fighting scary demonic beasts for the day. They all agree that making students brawl with cursed monsters for practice is a bit much even here. Plus, that combat professor really needs an attitude adjustment. He's always talking down to anyone he doesn't like. People are totally baffled by this guy's teaching skills or lack thereof. They're grumbling about his messy beast management causing all this chaos. Word on the street is that young assistant Professor Selt was actually the one keeping those wild animals in check. Still, the boss takes the fall. We catch him looking super awkward while standing before the Academy's big shot directors in court. In the middle of the interrogation, a loud gavel bang echoes. The director gives everyone a look that says, "Hey, let's keep it professional." He then politely asks the professor if he has any defense for the messy list of accusations piled against him. That makes him sweat. The charges dive into all his super shady research and supposed wins involving those pesky demons. Plus, every single beast in the Academy was technically his responsibility. All the clues are pointing one way, and it is not looking good. Feeling the heat, the guy snaps. He insists those demonic beasts were just for student combat training and some harmless little experiments. He plays the hero card, claiming a warrior like him would never manipulate beasts to hurt others. It is a bit much, even for him. The students are just whispering, "Hey, that guy's not even answering the actual question being asked." He keeps huffing and puffing, shouting that there is a limit to how many insults a proud man can handle. The princess's bodyguard notes that while the professor is a hothead, his warrior pride is actually quite genuine. Since even the great tower master could not crack the academy barrier, the evidence is pretty much stacked against our grumpy professor. Those beasts were inside the house all along. They were hidden by some fancy perception spells right under everyone's noses. With all the facts on the table, it is crystal clear. There is an undercover mole right here in the academy. The crowd thinks he won't convince anyone of his innocence just by shouting and throwing a tantrum at the tribunal. Calm down, dude. Watching the drama unfold, the director is losing his patience. This guy's defense is about as strong as a wet paper towel. Suddenly, Selt rushes in. He tells the professor to take a seat, chill out, and wait for the director to make a move. Once the soldiers realize who the kid is, they let him through. He gives a polite thanks, looking relieved after his rough morning. Approaching the tribunal with a deep breath, Selt gets ready to share his side of the story. Classic move. The professor starts yelling that all this trouble was caused by his assistant's terrible management. What a guy. Getting tired of the yelling, the director asks Selt for his opinion so they can wrap this trial up quickly. Selt starts explaining, admitting that this whole beast incident could have really caused some massive damage to the academy grounds. He adds that thanks to the students' quick thinking, the beasts were beaten, proving their classes were actually pretty useful. It was a huge accident, sure, but it also let the students show off their leveling gains and newfound combat skills. He wraps it up by saying, if anyone deserves the blame, it is him. He admits he failed at keeping the animals organized. The director nods along to the boy's words, then steps in saying he gets the point and starts to think it over. Breeding demons at school is a total no-no. If they needed training dummies, they should have used much safer methods, honestly. Because this plan was such a flop, a lot of students who were not ready for a real fight got hurt. Looking back at everything, the director admits that the man's opinion is not entirely wrong. Surprisingly, but here's the catch. It is not fair to dump all the blame for this mess on the professor's young assistant alone. To keep things smooth and safe, the best move is for Selt to be a bit more careful with his words. Wrapping the case up, the director orders the combat professor to be locked up until a final decision is officially reached. The verdict leaves the man absolutely fuming. He's on edge, letting a whole lot of hatred start to bubble up inside. He starts screaming at the director, asking how he dares insult a warrior like him while guards try to hold him back. He breaks free, yelling about his status as a legendary kingdom warrior. Then, like magic, the scene shifts to somewhere new. A sparkly constellation lights up the sky. A mysterious voice tells someone they need to go out and find something super important. The one receiving this celestial message is our lovely blonde princess, listening closely to the voice's helpful advice. She feels like she's floating in deep space, having a total spiritual moment while the voice asks her to seek out a vital treasure. Suddenly, she wakes up in her bed feeling super confused and wondering what in the world that crazy dream was about. Sunlight pours into the castle as a fresh day starts. She tucks her pajamas away and starts getting all ready for school. The girl thinks to herself that this weird revelation felt way different from any of the dreams she's had before. She realizes it is the very first time the stars have reached out and spoken to her so directly. How cool is that? Still a bit lost, she checks herself in the mirror, wondering what the stars were actually trying to tell her today. Just then, her butler walks in with a warm greeting, offering to walk her safely to the academy for her morning classes. Here's the recap of what went down at the professor's tribunal. He's locked up for now, so Celt is officially covering his classes. Exploring the house, the girl wonders if others are being investigated too. The boy explains that the combat professor is currently the only suspect. The princess gets thoughtful, agreeing with him, but still feeling something's off. Suddenly, she stops turning so fast she nearly gives her butler a heart attack. Standing by a door, she admits the star's message is still a bit blurry. Fate led her here, so she gives Rana's door a friendly little knock. She calls for Rana before the blonde student steps inside the room. She mentions she'd love a quick private chat with the professor. However, the room is a total mess with papers flying everywhere. The mess is confusing, but the polite professor says just step on anything. Prepping for her next class, she asks if they can follow her board. She shows off a board of magical runes she tried to simplify. The two are speechless, totally embarrassed because they don't get the simplification at all. Trying to pivot, one of them coughs and begins explaining the situation. He understands magic circuits by pure instinct but doubts he can help here. Sweetly, the professor notes the girl's heart seems different since the open class. She's confused, explaining she's just been hunting for books since the last lesson. Understanding her student, the professor clarifies those books aren't actually hers. Actually, all this stuff belongs to Professor Celt, who lent it to her. Suddenly, the princess gets a headache, like glass shattering inside her skull. Morning hits Aplea Academy, and the students are all buzzed for the day. In class, the assistant announces he'll be taking over teaching duties for now. Replacing the combat professor, he says those beast-handling sessions are history. It's all combat theory now, and the Northern warriors are totally bored. Unlike the others, the Northerners and a purple-haired boy show zero interest. The emo student is equally bored, hating the idea of theory over practice. The assistant starts the lesson, scribbling combat fundamentals all over the board. In the hall, students are gossiping about the Beast Lab being shut down. They hear Celt is taking over while our trio discusses the news. Lark says he can't shake that rotten battle smell, leaving the girl puzzled. Trying to clarify, she asks if he means the case isn't closed. His friend agrees, and Belle admits he also feels uneasy about the beast. The girl deduces that controlling that many demons is impossible for just one person. She's got a hunch someone else is behind this whole mess. No proof yet, but the blonde girl confirms she has the same suspicion. Wanting to help, the girl joins the trio to dig into the mystery. Surprising the purple-haired girl, the blonde says they're far from the truth. Night falls at Aplea Academy, but the 4 students are still investigating. They ask if the princess is sure, and she trusts her intuition completely. Always sharp, Lei jumps in to warn them this might be a mistake. She notices they're actually entering the assistant professor's private room. The blonde praises Lark's intuition, while poor Lisi is shaking with fear. The princess says the stars are leading them toward the final truth. Gripping the handle, our northern warrior winces as that nasty, rotten stench gets even stronger. As the door swings wide, he promises that the truth will finally come to light inside. They step inside, only to find rows of cages housing captured demons. Talk about a bad vibe. A quick look at the table reveals these beasts were being brainwashed with control magic. While someone is shaking in their boots, the princess steps up, taking full responsibility for the mission. She orders a careful search, prompting our genius but totally spacey friend to weigh in with his thoughts. He claims everything looks fine, but Harris knows better. His gut says something is definitely hidden here. He is searching for that one smoking gun, even if the assistant professor isn't the main villain. Somewhere here lies the evidence. But suddenly a surprise guest bursts in, giving everyone a massive jump scare. The princess nearly jumps out of her skin. It is just our hero and his friend arriving. The professor spots the 4 students snooping and asks what they are doing out past their bedtime. He narrows his eyes, wondering why his top students are acting so incredibly suspicious tonight. Stepping forward, the northern heir takes charge and demands the professor's undivided attention immediately. He reaches out toward the man, stating politely that they have a few mysteries to clear up. Glancing at the dusty bookshelves, he mentions several nagging questions that desperately need some real answers. He drops the bomb. Was it really the professor who let those demonic dogs loose? The man looks shocked. Even the grumpy assassin demands to know what the heck his friend is thinking. He admits he lacks hard evidence, but his high-level intuition says this is exactly what happened. He points the finger at the assistant professor while the girl prays nobody loses their cool. She quickly makes an excuse, claiming she was just returning some library books at midnight. Smooth. Someone tries to break the tension, suggesting they all head to bed since it is getting late. They hope to table the talk for later, but the blonde girl is not having any of it. She declares that is not enough, not even close, and claims the very stars back up Lark's bold accusations. In her family's name, she vows to investigate the teacher, making our main character sweat a little. The teacher clenches his fists in annoyance, realizing this northern boy is much sharper than he looks. Our hero spots those tightening knuckles and braces himself for a potential sneak attack. Trained for the worst, he quietly reaches for the axe hidden under his cloak, ready for action. As tension peaks, the teacher starts to crack, stuttering that he is without a doubt the one. He pauses, sweating buckets, before finally managing to force out the rest of his confession. He finally admits it. Yes, I was the one who released those demonic beasts. Both fighters are stunned as the teacher confesses to being the mastermind behind the whole school incident. Harris asks the big question, why ruin such a peaceful place with something so terrible? Visibly shaken and full of regret, the man offers to explain exactly how it all went down. He reveals that the combat instructor had some pretty dark plans involving those monstrous creatures. The instructor was obsessed with engineering an intelligent cursed beast to use as a weapon. The girl's jaw drops. She cannot believe the madness the instructor was actually trying to achieve. He explains that the man had reached his limit for controlling beasts within his tiny cell. But pure obsession kept him going, dragging him deeper into a twisted world of research. Blinded by greed, he churned out more and more test subjects like a mad scientist. That was when the chaos erupted, sending shockwaves of terror throughout the entire academy. The students were caught off guard, and many ended up badly hurt during the wild attack. He kept quiet in court, fearing the instructor would face a much harsher fate if he spoke. Wrestling with his conscience, he mistakenly thought he could clean up the mess all by himself. He breaks down in tears, while the students watch on, reflecting on his tragic confession. Lark gently steps forward to comfort him softly, saying she finally understands the whole truth. Ever-blunt Belle asks what their next big move should be. Someone suggests reporting everything to the director for his final decision. Just then, a bit of stardust drifts through the girl's fingers. She senses the stars are whispering some really serious cosmic warnings. Why would they warn her if the teacher spilled every secret? Suddenly, the stardust stops, giving her a very big, surprising shock. Someone uses punishment magic, tossing the teacher aside like a toy. Stunned by the blow, someone mockingly asks for a better excuse. That story was silly. He definitely deserved a punch for that. He asks if he should call him by his true two-faced name. The boys are shocked the guy is still standing and fuming. Tricked by the assistant, they kindly ask if the man is okay. He starts laughing like a villain with a truly nasty plan. Standing up, his weird laughing fit catches the whole room off guard. Glowing red, he admits their friend is more intimidating than expected. He releases his magic, opening the cages to set animals loose. A dog army rushes in, sparking a lively battle for everyone. He laughs, telling them to handle the pups or expect worse. Using red magic, he claims he can make any beast docile, but he warns he can easily turn them into aggressive monsters. It is a slight detour, but he insists the plan works. Confidently, he reveals his plan to wreck the academy with beasts. Unfazed, the main character asks if he expects them to surrender. Stepping forward, she eyes the girls with a clever plan brewing. She calls the assassin who readies his lethal dark blood magic. The white-haired boy draws his axe ready for a tough fight. Preparing for battle, she tells her students to catch the pets. He mentions her reputation for being an incredibly powerful, famous teacher. Undeterred, he readies fire magic to humble her slightly arrogant attitude. He fires a blast, mocking her for thinking she could win. She effortlessly slaps the spell away, sending it to the dirt. Wiping her brow, she asks who he thinks he is exactly. He levels up, throwing fireballs and enjoying the battle's heat. She notes he did all this while teaching class with a smile. Laughing, he asks if she thinks a professor is his master. He unleashes a fire blast, claiming he has only one mentor. Surprised, she asks if he means that guy with demonic energy. Slicing through flames, she questions why he calls that man master. Pulling out a stone, she admits this might get a bit tricky. The villain panics, wondering how she got hold of that stone. She crushes the stone, wondering why he would ever serve demons. Enraged by the broken relic, he screams about his master's treasure. Clenching fists with purple energy, he mourns the valuable relic's loss. He goes berserk, flooding the room with his dark purple power. Purple runes launch black needles like lightning, causing a massive explosion. As the needles strike, he starts trash-talking, calling her a total amateur for underestimating his legendary stash. His intense grudge literally shakes the foundation, making the walls rattle with every angry shout. Talk about a power trip. The sheer magical pressure is causing the entire room to crumble. He spots her on the ground and starts cackling, convinced he's finally clinched the win. Grinning like a cartoon villain, he flexes that sinister purple aura he's been leveling up forever. He even gives a shout out to his mentor for teaching him these dark secrets. Now he's getting ahead of himself, bragging he could beat that famous professor with one hand tied back. A thick, eerie purple mist begins to flood the area as his energy hits peak levels. Lost in his own hype, he claims he's basically the new king of the world now. An empty glass bottle clatters to the floor while he keeps rambling on about following his master's grand plan. Meanwhile, our girl just stands up with a massive yawn, looking completely bored by his tantrum. Even when she starts casually dusting off her clothes, the guy stays surprisingly cocky and unbothered. He admits he's almost impressed she's still breathing after taking that surprise hit. He mocks her, laughing that she actually brought a tiny potion to a serious duel. She just smiles, explaining it's not a healing potion, it's just her favorite monthly health tonic. She figured since he was busy talking to himself, it was the perfect time to grab a quick snack. The man ignores her and summons runes on the ceiling, warning her that the real fight is just starting. He prepares his final move politely, telling her it's time to go to the great beyond. With glowing purple eyes and total confidence, he unleashes his ultimate dark impact spell on her. Creepy black tentacles swarm the room, lunging straight for our favorite overpowered main character. But she's fought way scarier bosses than this guy, so she just greets the attack with a grin. To her, this is a total joke. The spell literally turns to dust before it can even touch her. The traitor is stunned, wondering how his unbeatable secret technique just vanished into thin air. Activating her own magic, she giggles, realizing his sloppy attack just exposed his link to the forbidden altar. Now she knows exactly who his boss is. Brilliant blue stardust begins swirling around her fingertips. Ready to take out the trash, she announces that his little villainous phase ends right now. Frustrated and breaking into a cold sweat, he stammers, asking how she could possibly counter him. He watches his masterpiece crumble and begs to know how she broke it so easily. She laughs, telling him even a kindergartner could see through such a weak and flimsy spell. Then she charges blue runes ignite in her palm as she prepares a spicy punishment spell boost. With lightning speed, she closes the gap and delivers a massive punch right to his chest. That magic-infused blow hits like a truck, making him cough up blood from the overwhelming damage. The force sends him flying across the room like a floppy inflatable puppet with no brakes. He crashes down on his knees, clutching his stomach in total shock. That definitely left a mark. Our heroine looks perfectly fine. She even teases him, saying she was actually holding back her strength. She tells him to stop playing around, but he desperately channels his last bits of purple mana. Despite being beaten, he won't quit. Suddenly, glowing purple runes appear all around her back, lighting up the room. He tries his black needle magic again, refusing to surrender as sparks fly from his frantic spellcasting. He goes all out, overclocking his summoning magic to launch the fastest attack he has got. Hundreds of needles rain down in a sneaky ambush, aiming to catch her completely off guard. Without even looking, she just shrugs. The needles disintegrate into nothingness the moment they get close. Struggling to stand, he gasps, wondering how many overpowered spells she is hiding in that cheat code of a body. Still stubborn, he fires up more purple runes, praying this next desperate attempt will finally land. He cackles, asking if she is ready for the sequel as a massive array of runes appears behind him. The teacher unleashes a devastating blast from his palms, leaving a trail of darkness and a massive explosion where she stood. Surveying the wreckage, she finally takes a breather. Her rival actually thought he'd won, even joking that she was all talk. Suddenly, she blinks behind him with a cheeky grin, telling him she could say the exact same thing about him. She charges forward like a bolt of lightning, activating her magic boost to deliver a truly massive, high-speed hit. With a burst of speed, she grabs the villain's face, channeling her boosted magic to end this fight right now. Her hand glows with a fierce purple light as she readies her signature move, the legendary Smash Magic. Moving at top speed, she slams the treacherous teacher's head straight into the wall with a satisfying crunch. Combined with her smash ability, the impact is absolutely devastating, leaving the villain completely out for the count. She scolds him, saying traitors deserve to suffer. She's clearly furious at her old friend's terrible betrayal. Lecturing him on basic ethics, she gives his head another forceful slam against the stone wall for good measure. She reminds him how much he used to brag about his strength. Meanwhile, the room is now a complete disaster. With paintings scattered and tables smashed, the once arrogant man lies defeated among the ruins of the office. She quips that even a girl like her can crush a skull. Brushing off her clothes, she says he isn't weak because he's human. He's just weak, period. Back at the academy, the halls are buzzing as everyone is told to hurry up. The butler and several soldiers dash through the corridors, searching frantically for the students and the young princess. Popping up out of nowhere, the girl notes with a smile that there's still a bit of kindness left in this school. The butler bows, apologizing for the chaos, while explaining that an unusual number of demonic beasts have invaded the grounds. But when he spots Professor Selt being held by the hair, he can't help but wonder what on earth happened. The man's blood is pitch black, clear proof that he sold his soul to demons and betrayed the entire academy. The girl admits it would have been nearly impossible to spot him if he hadn't used that dark energy in battle. The moment his demonic aura flared up, she knew she had no choice but to take him down immediately. She mentions the traitor will be conscious soon, so they should definitely have questions ready for when he wakes up. A bit worried, the butler asks if he's still alive. She giggles, confirming he's just taking a very forced nap. Dropping the defeated man like a sack of flour, she jokes that he's perfectly healthy and very much alive. The soldiers offer a deep bow, thanking her for her amazing help and hard work in catching the villain. As she heads out, she mentions having some urgent business and wishes the soldiers the best of luck with the cleanup. Some time passes, and our main character makes her way toward the lush forest surrounding the school. Wiping sweat from her brow after a long fight, the blonde girl sighs that this should be the final cursed beast. Holding a beast's remains, Lark gives his friends a thumbs up, feeling confident that the danger has finally passed. Noticing how exhausted his friend looks, he kindly suggests that she head back first to get some well-deserved rest. But she's still worried about the teaching assistant who's currently facing off against that nasty traitor all by herself. She worries for her friend's safety, but the northern warrior and the princess just start laughing, which really annoys Lei. Lai demands to know what's so funny. Harris just chuckles, saying there's absolutely zero reason to worry about that assistant. The white-haired boy nods in total agreement with his friend's assessment. He adds that the assistant was actually the first one to sense trouble, moving purely on her sharp instincts. Trusting her completely, he's sure she's already hot on the heels of the real mastermind behind all this. Feeling drained, the protagonist mutters that it was a lot of hard work and maybe they should slip away while they can. Suddenly her mentor appears right behind her, asking what she just said and giving the poor girl a huge fright. Desperately changing the subject, she grumbles about the stubborn dirt on her clothes that just won't come out. Ever the serious one. The mentor warns her not to use water magic on those clothes, they were a royal gift. He asks how she managed to get so messy, but then shrugs it off, not really caring about the details. While scrubbing away, she wonders for a second if her students are safe, but quickly pushes the thought aside. Scrubbing with all her might, she tells herself that as long as she keeps teaching them well, everything will work out. But she presses too hard and ripped the clothes tear in half, making her mentor absolutely lose his cool. Inside the academy, gossip spreads as people whisper that they never imagined the teaching assistant could be such a dangerous traitor. One girl asks if he really framed the combat professor. Well, it seems like everyone is pretty convinced. A couple of staff members are chatting, totally baffled by how a traitor could actually infiltrate the academy. This breach is just not okay and serious action is coming. Meanwhile, over in the professor's quiet office, ever since the chaos kicked off, the poor guy hasn't had a wink of peace. Thankfully, students arrive to report the 5th dormitory is fixed. They mention that the traitor finally woke up this morning and a formal interrogation is scheduled for this afternoon. Word is that Professor Hartle is leading the questioning. The old professor breathes a sigh of relief, knowing the case is in expert hands. After that, he politely asks how the students' classes are coming along. One boy quickly notes that combat and elemental magic are back. They're running again, though they had to ditch the dangerous beasts. This makes the lessons much more theoretical and way safer for everyone. They also mention that right at this moment, the teaching assistant Rania is busy leading a class. They even asked if she wanted to cancel today, but she politely declined. Rania basically said that one little incident wasn't enough to stop her and kept on teaching like a total professional. Inside the room, she's busy materializing glowing runes, showing her students the ropes. She firmly believes that hands-on practice is the best teacher. After finishing her talk, she points out 3 essential spells that are absolute must-haves for any real magical battle. The students are loving it. Their teacher's finally making the complex stuff simple. She floats a massive rune right above the class. Rania looks at a student and asks, "All right, can anyone tell me what spell this is?" A nervous kid correctly identifies it as a focused high-level attack spell. He's spot on, as it is a staple in most magic circuits. She explains that many mages just memorize these things blindly, never really knowing the how or why behind the magic. Then she shows them that this circuit is actually quite routine, something you can perform without breaking much of a sweat. While forming runes around the divine scale, she admits that just memorizing things is definitely an efficient way to start. However, she stresses that truly understanding the meaning behind the magic is what takes a mage to the next level. The whole class is locked in, everything is finally clicking because her teaching style is just so fluid and easy to follow. Feeling a bit worn out, the girl jokes that she's going crazy since she still isn't quite used to the teacher life. She clears her throat to get back on track. She tells the class they can use yesterday's big incident as a great learning example. Rania brings up the fact that the academy has had its fair share of troubles lately, but she adds that thanks to the students' quick thinking, things were settled in a flash. Her friends and students listen intently to every word. She reminds them that knowing the circuit's inner workings is the key to mastery. She explains that staying sharp and not getting stuck in a rut is fundamental to solving the world's most complicated problems. She whispers a little pep talk to herself, trying to stay cool. "You're just overthinking it, Rania. Everything is totally fine." With a cheerful grin, she tells the whole class that the biggest secret to success is simply giving it a try. The students have different reactions, but they're all inspired. The purple-haired girl looks especially happy, her cheeks turning a soft pink. Walking down the halls later, Rania thinks to herself that her last lecture wasn't nearly as bad as she'd feared. She hums a little tune, though she admits this new life isn't exactly what she would call a relaxing break. Honestly, it's the opposite with all the constant battles and weirdness. Still, she's just relieved she hasn't been fired from the job yet. But suddenly she spots a few very suspicious-looking characters wandering around the academy grounds. These men are carrying swords and bright red flags, all marked with a very specific emblem that immediately catches her eye. There are dozens of them. Rania's heart skips a beat as she recognizes that mark stamped all over their gear and clothes. Watching them calmly walk away from a safe distance, Rania starts to wonder what kind of trouble is brewing now. It clicks, that's the emblem of the royal hunting dogs. Her mind starts racing as she tries to figure out their business here. However, she's honestly pretty exhausted from dealing with one disaster after another. She decides it's definitely not her problem today, shrugs it off, and heads straight for the school cafe for some peace. The mood shifts instantly as we move deep into the academy's dark underground prison, where the traitor is being kept. Professor Hartle and a soldier head down to the cells. The captured teacher sits locked away, waiting for the interrogation to begin. Tied to a wooden chair behind heavy bars, the soldier barks an order for the prisoner to wake up already. The traitor is totally out of it. His eyes are white, and he's far too exhausted to even mutter a single word. Suddenly he loses it. He starts thrashing in his chair, screaming that the prophet will punish them all for what they've done. With his eyes glowing green and purple, he chants about the prophet. Deep in the shadows, someone is pulling his strings like a puppet. Our clever butler tells the guard to back off, sensing something is definitely fishy here. He's shocked to see poor Selt is way more mentally broken than he ever imagined. Watching the traitor drool, he realizes some powerful magic must be messing with his head. The worried guard asks if he's alive. Harville says yes, then sends him to church. Strolling through the dungeon, our butler wonders who this mysterious prophet guy could actually be. Gripping his sword, he figures there are only two real leads on the prophet's identity. First, he's at the academy. Second, he's a big shot making deals with demons. Yikes. But man, this guy's tough. Harville admits he might need help to win this. Oh boy, surprise. The butler freezes as some scary guys suddenly pop up right ahead. Talk about early. He spots a masked man surrounded by guards in bright red outfits. This intimidating fellow is Lord Colt, and he's a pretty big deal in the kingdom. 7 years ago, the princess and Harville are running for their lives from nasty beasts. Crying, she asks why Garrick is being so mean. The butler gives her the truth. "Don't look back," he shouts as wolves close in. The poor guy looks totally stressed. He says Garrick isn't their old friend anymore. Now he's just a big stinky traitor. Believe it or not, he was a royal warrior. Anyway, our duo keeps running fast. Then the bald guy shouts that he only wants the girl. Talk about super scary. He looks different now and says the prophet promised him an army for the girl. Shielding the princess, the butler tells her to ignore him and just run, run, run. Crying, the girl bolts as fast as she can, shouting for anyone to help her. She prays someone hears her, then boom. A huge explosion rocks everything behind her now. Dust flies everywhere. With teary eyes, she turns around to see what happened back there. Scared out of her wits, she sees someone walk up and kindly ask if she is okay. It's our main character. Even as a kid, he's here to save the day. Back to now. Our girl is dreaming about Lord Renal, her hero from the past. She remembers him popping out of nowhere and taking down that traitor with one punch. The bad guy flopped down, and just like that, her mysterious savior vanished. Poof. Now she's hugging her pillow, wondering where in the world her hero is today. Look, our hero is at a cafe coughing a lot and making a mess. She stops and thinks she heard the princess's voice. Talk about a major panic. Oh no, she realizes she has to admit she tore the princess's gift during laundry. She's torn about confessing, but she knows being honest is the right thing to do. The sun is setting over the school. Look, there's our warrior friend with the butler. The butler asks why not just talk. Colt says there's something way more urgent. He needs the full story. Scanning the yard, Colt picks up on spooky demonic energy. He sees creepy vibes everywhere. The boy next to him asks, "Are you totally sure?" Being a pro, Colt says the energy is faint, but his expert eyes see it. Students are just strolling through the halls, heading off to their next fun classes. Alone for a second, the butler admits he can't feel it, but trusts his boss. Colt is a top warrior. Before being a hound, everyone called him the Tracker. Cool. He could find anyone in seconds. He even fought with legendary heroes back then. If his buddy says there's demon energy around, you can bet it's the truth. The butler sighs, thinking how things might have been better if guards were around then. Suddenly, our soldier friend spots something interesting and asks everyone to wait a second. He spins around, focused. That demon energy leads straight to our main character. How curious. Colt unsheathes his blade, readying for a marathon duel. He sprints forward, gathering massive speed for the opening strike. Our heroine is totally oblivious until the thunderous rhythm of approaching boots catches her off guard. He lunges through the air, screaming about finding a dirty traitor, hoping to end this with a single massive blow. The warrior's strike is absolutely devastating, cracking the earth wide open and sending rocks flying in every direction. The nearby students are completely floored, staring wide-eyed, because they have zero clue what is going on. That soldier moves like a total blur, leaving everyone behind. Even the butler is left wondering where he vanished. Feeling the pressure, he worries that Colt might be targeting Rania, the professor's lovely assistant. But wait, our main character is not down for the count. She is already steadying herself for a brilliant counterattack. Trading blows, she wonders who this mysterious guy is. His sheer power is honestly a little terrifying. Battling through her nerves, she cannot help but ask why he would suddenly pick a fight with her. The two are perfectly matched, locked in a high-level dance of destruction. Both of them are incredibly strong. Watching from the sidelines, Ravel is in total shock. This whole scene feels like a complete impossibility. These hunting dogs are pure combat elites. They are the ultimate nightmare for any mage specifically trained to take them down. As the clash intensifies, we learn that normal mages stand zero chance against these elite royal soldiers. However, our heroine is way more talented than she looks. She is holding her own without taking a single scratch. The seasoned warrior realizes something suspicious. This girl is definitely pulling her punches and holding back her true power. He also notices she is not even using a physical weapon. She is relying entirely on high-tier magic and spells. The relentless pressure continues. Colt cannot believe how much weight she is putting on him right now. Mid-fight, the warrior's sword gets knocked sky high. It spins through the air like a silver top. He is now totally wide open, disarmed, and defenseless against her oncoming barrage of power. Gripping his fists tight, Colt mutters that this is impossible. Surely his theory cannot be coming true. But the proof is right there. Looking totally chilled out, the girl teases him for being so distracted during a duel. Colt starts breaking into a cold sweat. It is terrifying how simple, yet perfectly efficient, her every move is. Realizing the game is up, he throws in the towel. Hands in the air, he tries to cool everyone down. The girl lets out a bright laugh, then sweetly asks, "So who are you exactly?" A man walks up mentioning he was looking for his lost buddy. It turns out he already knows her secret identity. He starts teasing her about her new look. This makes our main character super awkward since she never expected to be caught. 5 years earlier, in a barren wasteland, our hero, back when he was a man, is sprinting alongside a close friend. Are we even going the right way? Still running full tilt, the man insists his gut feeling is never wrong. Doubting his pal's logic, the protagonist wonders if his intuition is broken, but he decides to keep his mouth shut. Scanning the bleak horizon, the desert is literally carpeted in skulls. Our hero is positive they are in the wrong place. Boom. A massive multi-headed beast erupts from the dunes, showering the entire area in sand and stone. Seeing their prey has finally arrived, the warrior smirks. "See, I told you I knew exactly where it was." He begins to unsheathe his steel while chanting some epic-sounding phrases at the top of his lungs. This guy is actually the direct right-hand man to the apprentice Renal Colt, who is destined for legendary greatness. As the scrap begins, our hero triggers magical power runes all over the place, hoping to zap this monster into oblivion. Lightning crackles from the protagonist's fingertips. He just wants to wrap this up fast so he can head home. Charging toward the beast, they see it as a colossal larva, with several heads and mouths full of spinning teeth. The battle rages on and on until the sky turns a deep purple and the sun begins to dip below the horizon. Monster chunks are scattered everywhere. The two friends catch their breath, both dreaming about finally calling it a career. While cooling down, Colt asks about his friend's retirement plans. Think you will take over the Grey Tower one day? The protagonist shuts that down immediately. No way, those grumpy old geezers there are way too annoying for me. He mentions maybe becoming a teacher instead. His friend just laughs, saying he feels sorry for any future students. This sparks a goofy argument. Renal gets his feelings hurt, and after a quick bop to the head, the boy starts sobbing. Back in the present, the warrior's eyes well up with tears. He screams for his friend to escape the skeleton army. While his buddy smashes through skeletons like a pro, our hero wonders why a holy king is chilling here. Everyone calls him the Sword of Death, but his name is Garnacolt. He is one seriously overpowered final boss. Later, as a girl heals his wounds, Renal asks his pal if he is actually ready to hang up his sword. The doctor jumps in, saying he has to retire because his body is basically a battery for demonic energy. Resting after his treatment, the poor guy apologizes for being a burden since he can't fight like this anymore. Still, he cheers his friend on, joking that at least he survived holding that super cursed demonic sword. That was a first. Then he pulls out a legendary recommendation letter for a top-tier commander position. He presents the letter, leaving the boy trembling with excitement as he realizes this is his big career break. Patting his shoulder, he offers more praise, saying he did great today and will do even better tomorrow. The young warrior takes it all in and offers a huge thank you, feeling totally grateful for his awesome friend. Suddenly, the waterworks start. He begins crying as he realizes his whole life is about to get a major upgrade. When the nurse jokes about not making his dad cry, the two buddies start bickering like an old married couple. Back in the present, they're catching up, and Colt mentions he always kind of wanted to be a teacher. But seeing the Ash Mage's new look, he is totally thrown off. He definitely did not see this coming. He finishes his thought, admitting he never expected her to end up as a humble teaching assistant. Getting back to business, he pulls out that weird little altar they found earlier from Bozo. He confirms the demonic vibes were coming from this thing as he packs away the remains of the artifact. He found it in the sewers and warns that the person who attacked the academy definitely knows about this altar. He points out that the similarities between this case and the previous ones are too obvious to ignore. He explains that in those other cases, the cursed victims kept rambling about some mysterious prophet or something. He thought he'd cleared all the demonic energy, so he praises the boy for having such sharp instincts. He says the boy's curse detecting skills are better than hers. The boy laughs, asking if that counts as a compliment. Since she talks so strangely, he has to check. Then he politely asks his friend to hand over the altar. He wants to investigate it personally, but then he just starts staring really intensely at the woman's face. It gets super awkward. She asks why he's staring, worried she has something stuck on her face or something. He quickly asks how her job is going, noting she looks way more energized than he expected. She groans, saying the job is a total drag and honestly just super boring and tedious. She complains that Academy elders keep barging in, constantly trying to recruit her for the Grey Tower. They're so annoying. They follow her everywhere through the school hallways, just pestering her with endless offers. This brings back memories of how annoying those elders can be. The boy sighs, saying they never change. Anyway, he mentions the drama has already spread to the Black and White Towers and beyond. On the bright side, she admits she finally found some students who are actually worth teaching. With a big smile, the warrior says he's genuinely happy to see how well she's doing these days. But this just annoys her. She snaps back, asking if he even listened to the part where she's miserable. Standing up to head out, he repeats that he's just glad she finally settled down somewhere nice. As he leaves, he jokes that he never expected her to say stuff like that after getting expelled. He admits he was worried about her when she left the hero team, leaving her totally stunned and silent. She's literally at a loss for words. Laughing, Colt adds that she's not really the accepting expulsion type. He recalls her wild reaction and she scoffs, saying she never thought she'd worry about a warrior like him. She says life is full of surprises. Then, as his old mentor, she offers one last bit of advice. Suddenly, she taps his chest, glowing with blue magic, as she triggers a classic punishment spell. Taking him by surprise, the spell blasts him backward, sending him flying through the air with a loud thud. Cackling after her revenge, she tells him to work on his habit of surprising people out of nowhere. After that massive launch, he ends up landing headfirst right in the middle of some bushes. He groans from the dirt, thinking that she hasn't changed even a little bit over the years. Their chat went on so long that the school was already draped in darkness. Lei realized he was definitely breaking curfew tonight. Suddenly, a mysterious voice calls out from right behind the startled girl. He says it's been ages since they last met, giving her a shock that leaves her totally speechless. A man with brown hair and a mature look appears. As he approaches, she realizes it's the one and only Elder Jillian. Hundreds of years ago, there was a legendary and magnificent nation known as Arcadia. But in the blink of an eye, this glorious country was turned to ash by 4 terrifying individuals. The first was the black dragon Bilio, followed by the infamous renegade known as Gredos. Next came the skeletal sword of Death Garnicult and a super-powerful ancient lich. Even so, the heroes chosen by the stars never gave up and built a new city right atop the ruins. They gathered every powerful force they could, from legendary heroes to saintly mages and alchemists. The mages built unique research towers, and the king assigned a special color to every single one. The Black Tower became famous for its powerful runes and tricky enchantment magic. Meanwhile, the White Tower specialized in mastering the 4 main elements, like fire and water. Each tower pushed its research to the absolute limit, aiming for the very peak of magical mastery. However, the Grey Tower is the odd one out. They don't care about your fancy academic background at all. Their only mission is reviving Arcadia's lost magic. Back now, the man says he's disgusted by her weak appearance. She's left completely stunned and starts apologizing immediately, as if she'd done something terribly wrong. He bellows at her, asking if she's forgotten she's meant to be the next master of the Great Tower. His frustration is obvious, leaving the poor girl trembling as she clutches her books for dear life. He shouts that he won't repeat himself. She needs to fix her posture and walk with some actual pride. Super shy and terrified, she offers a sincere apology for failing to live up to her master's expectations. He just scratches his head in annoyance, but then finally reveals his true reason for being there. He looks her right in the eye and asks, "So what do you know about Rana Ventri?" Frozen in place, she carefully explains that Rana is just an apprentice, and Elder Rosal's adopted daughter. She continues while her mentor listens, explaining that the girl is currently teaching the basics of mana. Being his usual impatient self, he cuts her off, asking if she really thinks that's the information he wanted. He pulls something out and insults her, saying he never expected much, but her being a fool is worrying. Then he produces a mysterious black object from his pocket, catching the poor girl completely off guard. When she asks about the Great Tower, he simply confirms that her hunch was exactly right. He notes that anyone with a brain knows the value of his recommendation. Now back to our hero at the cafe. A group of students are gathered together, chatting away about all sorts of everyday topics. 2 are panicking about an upcoming exam, while another is just shocked. A test even exists. Tucked in the corner, our main character is getting a bit grumpy because her favorite spot is getting crowded. She zones out for a bit, reflecting on the deep conversation she had with her friend earlier. You can see the other students gossiping in the back, while she gets lost in her own thoughts. Watching the waitress, she decides she really needs to find a new quiet sanctuary to hide in. Suddenly, the students all start rushing out, making her wonder why everyone is leaving so fast. Something strange catches her eye, leaving her feeling totally confused by the sudden change in atmosphere. Realizing she's now all alone in the shop, she starts to get pretty annoyed by the weird situation. Then a man suddenly appears at her table saying he wanted a private chat with her. It's the same mage who was talking to Lei earlier, and he politely introduces himself to our hero. Giving her a very charming smile, he tries to strike up a friendly conversation. Getting annoyed, she realizes he cleared the whole room just to get her attention. She figures the elders were desperate to send Jillian, the second most powerful mage in the tower, after her. He keeps talking, saying he knows she's a busy lady, so he'll get right to the point. He reaches into his coat and pulls out a mysterious black envelope, placing it politely on the table. This isn't just junk mail. He hints that as a talented mage, she should recognize its true weight. Our heroine looks puzzled. Doesn't the Grey Tower usually balance its power between 6 legendary elders? The man beams with a cheerful smile. Someone did their homework. You're as sharp as they say. But who cares about office politics? He explains this is his personal golden ticket as a top elder. The clock on the wall ticks away. She sits there quietly reflecting on this unexpected job offer. Outside, birds are chirping happily while the cozy little cafe remains peaceful and completely empty. As she scans the room, the man adds that most mages would fight a dragon for this recommendation. Just accept it, he says, and you'll officially become the legendary heir to the Grey Tower. Our elder is losing his patience. He realizes she isn't exactly hanging on his every word. He's fuming now. She's just casually sipping her coffee and hasn't even glanced at his fancy letter. Her face is a total blank slate. He can't tell if she's bored or just really loves caffeine. Getting a bit cranky, he huffs about the wait. He's definitely not used to being ignored like this. Finally, she gives him a look of pure authority. I'm sure you know what's coming, she says simply. Then she slowly pours the rest of her coffee onto the envelope. Talk about a cold brew rejection. The poor guy's absolutely speechless. He didn't see that caffeine-flavored insult coming at all. Looking at the soggy mess, he gasps, "Did you just drown my recommendation in mocha?" He jumps up, totally losing his dignity. "Who do you think you are, young lady?" he screams. She just smirks playfully. "That's the answer you wanted," she says, letting her empty cup drop. We see a poetic shot of the spilled coffee. It's a perfect metaphor for the elder's messy intentions. She bursts into a hearty laugh. Her cheerful smile says it all. She's definitely not interested. The man's eye is twitching now. He is 1 second away from a total magical meltdown. He points at the coffee-stained disaster. "Is that really your final word on the matter?" With a playful giggle, she asks, "And if it is, are you going to cry about it?" He grumbles that she might have talent, but her manners are stuck at level 1. He brags about his long years of service. "Time to show you what a real elder can do." He triggers a mana realm. Suddenly, the cafe is glowing with a swirling neon green energy. This is just a taste of his power. The whole building shakes and cups shatter everywhere. The chandeliers are swinging wildly now. Things are going from a friendly chat to a total disaster. Glowing runes appear in his palm. He shoots her a smug look. "So what do you think?" Trying to force a yes, he offers her one last chance to just take the letter. Getting annoyed, she calls him stubborn. "How many times do I have to say no, Grandpa?" She stands up and walks right through his magic without a care. Then she snaps her fingers. Boom. A massive counter spell cancels out his energy, turning all his runes into dust instantly. She calls him out. He's just recruiting talent to make the Grey Tower win a popularity contest. "If you wanted to be the biggest bully in the room, congrats," she mocks. "You won. Now it's her turn." She unleashes a glowing blue mana realm that puts his to shame. The guy is floored. How did she copy his ultimate move in like 2 seconds? She finishes his thought with a wink. "Guess I really am as talented as they say." She jokes that she's so incredible it's no wonder he's desperate to recruit her. He's flat on the floor now. She asks if his ego is blocking his view of reality. She gives him a pitying look. "Not exactly your finest moment for a big-shot elder, is it?" She strolls out, leaving the man in the dirt and the cafe in total ruins. Back at home, our purple-haired student is back to hitting the books with a smile. She reminds herself that true growth means experiencing the world with her own 2 eyes. Our tiny fairy friend is super worried and tries to poke her mistress awake. She warns that all this nonstop grinding is seriously going to wreck her physical stats. Tugging on her collar with all her might, the fairy begs her to take a nap. But our heroine is locked in insisting she needs even more XP to reach her goals. She's so focused that weird spiritual fluid is actually dripping right off her fingertips. Inside her head, it's a total mess of voices cheering her on like she's some superstar. Then the mood shifts. Doubts creep in as dark energy starts swirling visibly around her. That spooky shadow energy begins crawling up her legs, threatening to corrupt her right there. Morning arrives. At Aplia, Academy students are already crowding around the main bulletin boards. The big exam news is finally out, and everyone is staring at the announcement in shock. Seeing all those complex runes, one student asks if this crazy thing is really the test. Our main character steps up, ready to drop a massive knowledge bomb on this exam mystery. Nearby, the other disciples are busy whispering about what their teacher is actually up to. Clutching the flyers, she can't help but give her friends a little playful roast in her mind. Suddenly, she spots her purple-haired pal, looking like a total zombie walking through the halls. She walks over and asks, "Hey, are you feeling okay? You look a bit glitchy." Giving her the once-over, she points out that she's looking super pale today. We jump into her perspective where a storm of chaotic thoughts is making her head spin. These weird memories keep flooding in, making it impossible for her to keep her cool. Panicked, she bolts away, while our heroine shouts for her to come back and wait. Suddenly, our warrior friend pops up, scaring the main character half to death about the exam. She gives him a sassy look, joking about how he finally decided to show his face. So she asks, "Did you actually find out anything useful about that mysterious altar?" She teases him, asking if a little makeover is why he's acting so cool all of a sudden. The boy freezes mid-sentence, his eyes locked onto something strange in the distance. He admits that her latest info just made this whole mission a lot easier to handle. He starts shuffling through his notes, grumbling about what a huge mess this whole situation is. Balancing the papers, he sighs that he's already pushed his limits to get this far. The biggest headache is still that altar, which remains a giant question mark on their list. Even if they clear the demon energy, there's a chance a portal could still pop open. Worst of all, they're stuck waiting for the gate to open before they can start fighting. He switches gears, muttering that some people just love finding tiny reasons to complain. That gets her fired up. She gives the soldier a kick, asking if he's blaming her. Night falls over the academy, and the capital city is buzzing with some high-level adventurers. 2 legendary figures stand out from the crowd looking like true members of the hero party. It turns out those mysterious figures were actually the hero team and their fearless leader. One soldier drops the bomb, a demon portal just opened right inside the capital walls. The boy asks if backup arrived, but the soldier says it's just them on duty. Then comes the million-dollar question: is the legendary Ash Mage going to join the fight? Wandering the silent halls, the warrior confirms that our powerful mage is nowhere to be found. Kyle draws his blade, feeling that something about this whole setup is seriously fishy. His friend is confused while golden light begins dancing around their leader in a holy glow. He looks a bit wild-eyed, claiming the stars are showing him visions of the future. The stars are aligning, guiding him straight toward a fated meeting with our main character. Inside the principal's office, assistants mention the hero team was dismissed yesterday, while the boys report the city's barrier is being reinforced. The principal reminds everyone to stay sharp and ensure they are doing their jobs properly. One assistant cheerfully promises that everything will be wrapped up by noon. Eager to help, the other assistants ask for more tasks, but the schedule is already completely full. The principal says that is all for now. According to the hounds, this is the only way to block the altar. He still finds it hard to believe a creature like that was lurking right inside our academy. Even if we cannot stop the altar, we must do our absolute best to minimize any damage. He tells the assistants that protecting the students is their most important duty as instructors. Meanwhile, in the classroom, students are struggling through an exam filled with insanely difficult questions. Is this even a real test? One student groans, feeling totally frustrated by the impossible level. Whispers fill the room. Everyone knew the teacher liked complicated lessons, but this is just ridiculous. The emo student nudges his friend to see if he has managed to solve anything at all. His friend is sweating buckets. Both their papers are completely blank, and they have no clue what to do. Staring at the bizarre questions, one student mutters that he cannot even tell up from down anymore. Suddenly, the northern warrior notices something strange and shifts all his focus to a specific scene. He watches his purple-haired friend working and asks if she finally found the right answer. But she seems off. Stop staring, she huffs, claiming she is probably just feeling totally exhausted. The White Tower disciple watches her walk away, getting a very bad vibe from the whole situation. As she leaves, the resident assassin tells his friend to just finish the test and quit whining. This starts a funny argument with the boy, insisting they should never underestimate his sharp instincts. Unseen by the others, a dense and unsettling purple energy begins to trail behind the girl. This negative energy lingers in the air, chilling other students who happen to walk through it. The girl is laser-focused on her goals, ignoring her tiny fairy friend's pleas as night falls. The atmosphere grows heavy. Inside a staff room, people are complaining that no progress is being made. One exhausted man decides he is done for the day and gets ready to head home. Another teacher asks why they gave this problem to students if even the pros cannot solve it. Defeated students give up on the brutal exam and leave, while a librarian continues sorting through books. He grumbles about the heavy workload until a strange noise makes him spin around to investigate. Up on the roof, our 2 friends are making all that noise the librarian just heard. The girl pouts, sad that she spent so much time on a test that no one could finish. She complains that creating a perfect exam is hard work when you follow all the instructional rules. But she quickly tires of the topic, stating that none of those details really matter anymore. Sadly, she says they must wait for the altar to appear. Suddenly, the warrior calls her name. He acts like he has a major secret, making her wonder why he is being so dramatic. Finally, he reveals that the school director has called in the hero team to help the academy. She bursts out laughing, relieved it was not something actually important or worth being angry about. "I honestly thought you would be super irritated by that news," the boy admits. Still laughing, she says she is a professional who keeps her personal life and work separate. She adds with a grin that those useless heroes can at least serve as the school's cleanup crew. The warrior is speechless. Is she really turning the legendary hero team into the academy's janitors? Stretching her muscles, the girl announces she has finally gained more knowledge about the medium. The boy is surprised and asks if she has finally tracked down where the trail originates. She has a solid hunch, but warns that it will become very dangerous if it is overly stimulated. They must be extremely careful. She explains that if they make even one mistake, they could ruin everything and accidentally create a whole new set of 4 holy kings. Shaking with nerves, the young boy asks if failure really means such a scary game over. The main character notes that their opponent at the altar is on a much higher power level. We see the pink-haired lady focusing hard while beautiful stardust swirls all around her. He mentions those Grey Tower elders are totally clueless about her potential. Now let's head inside. Lesty walks in clutching her books, just as the boy points out a mystery item on the desk. Spotting a letter, the tiny fairy is stunned. Curious, she wonders who dropped this envelope off. Inside, she finds that tricky earlier exam covered in runes that would baffle almost anyone. With just one look, she instantly deciphers the magic circuits like a total pro. Stardust fills the room as she realizes this circuit provides a masterpiece level of defense. Blown away by the paper's quality, she calls the rune perfect, with zero energy wasted. She sighs, wondering if she really has to carry this lucky charm everywhere she goes. Under the furniture, spooky, negative energy starts to bubble up, making a faint, creepy clicking sound. Suddenly, the villain appears with glowing purple eyes. The poor little fairy is absolutely terrified. Showing no mercy, he snatches the fairy with bony hands and lunges forward. He drags the captured fairy away, leaving the purple-haired girl trembling in total shock. Time skips ahead, and the poor Grey Tower heiress is found trapped in webs looking drained. She's losing her spark and can barely stand, almost ready to cross to the other side. Whispers in her mind keep her conscious, nudging her to stay strong and find a way out. She starts remembering the good times, like her fairy cheering her on while playing with friends. Everyone was laughing and hyped about magic. Then a kind elder gently pats her head, praising her cleverness. We see it's a sweet old man, asking for the little fairy's name. Beaming with pride, the young mage explains her fox friend is named Spirit of the Wind. The wise elder laughs, saying that name is too lonely. He suggests calling her Sylvie instead. Kneeling down, the man asks if she'd like to study magic and become his star pupil. He showers her with compliments about her talent, making the girl and her fairy super happy. Holding the prodigy's hand, he declares she has enough potential to lead a whole new era. These heartwarming memories flood her mind, helping her fight off the darkness and stay awake. While waiting, the duo finally realizes that the dark energy is completely surrounding the academy grounds. The boy complains that his friend is being impatient even though they haven't unmasked the medium. The teacher snorts, saying their target is a total coward. She explains that since she's a medium, she can sense all sorts of different magical vibes, though the boy is still a bit confused. He nods along at first, but then it clicks. He realizes just how serious her words were. When he asks when this happened, she says it was right after the disaster she witnessed alone. She recalls when he and Kyle were fighting because Kyle wanted to quit being a hero. It was heartbreaking. Strange voices were buzzing in his head, making him feel totally overwhelmed. Soon after, that nasty skeleton boss jumped out and captured our hero with his sharp claws. The monster's dark aura was so intense it clouded his mind, trapping him in a dream. Curiously, the boy asks if his friend has ever visited a whole different world before. And she says you really have to experience an isekai trip yourself to get the vibe. She can tell exactly where the altar will open to transport a soul to another dimension. While that's happening, the villain hijacks the host's body and summons a bunch of nasty demons. He sneaks in by controlling the medium, but those creepy purple eyes are a total giveaway. Everyone wants the tea on this story. The warrior asks what it's like inside that world. The girl goes silent, her mind drifting back to the intense things she saw back then. Telling him to guess, she recalls a sunny field from a happy childhood memory near a village. In that dream, he was totally trapped in a world where every single wish came true. It was pure paradise. Our hero was just hanging with his family, smiling like a total champ. But she points out that even in a dream, his deepest wish was still totally out of reach. And that is the end. Now our boy is super curious about what that mystery wish could be. Unstoppable even in a dream, the girl just laughs and tells him to lose that silly expression. Leaning over the balcony, she admits there are still a couple of goals left to smash. But his true heart's desire isn't in some dusty memory, so he finally broke free. Maybe our purple-haired friend has a big dream too. Then we jump back to those annoying thoughts. They keep shouting insults at her, stuck in the villain's web. Spooky shadow spirits start appearing. Poor thing is crying and wondering what is happening, feeling totally spooked and just plain miserable. Then she lets out a furious yell, shouting she is done with this and snapping the webs. Super mad, she yells about those annoying memories while glass starts shattering all around her. We see a bearded old guy chatting with Lai. He is pretty frail but totally understands her fear. Holding her hands, he explains that sometimes humans just have to look out for number one. He says the price for her amazing talent was way too high for such a little kid. But now she is all grown up and much wiser. Check out the forests around the academy. Something weird is happening at school. Loud bangs mean the portal is finally popping open. Finally, the duo waiting for the trainers realize the portal is actually starting to swing open. In the crowd, the boy asks if a student is the medium, can they actually survive? Gearing up for a fight, he says his students will definitely make it through this mess. He adds she survived 3 years in the Grey Tower, so she has a really tough mind, since mages are naturally cocky and usually a little bit crazy in their own way. Even the old master said wizards do not bother wasting time on their old memories. Crying, our purple-haired friend tries to break the curse by repeating the old master's wise words. Then she realizes Sylvie the fairy is gone and just starts crying her eyes out. Suddenly a portal pops up behind the webs and something starts poking through them. She yells for her master again, which means she finally escaped the bad guy's trap. Hugging her friend, she finally feels a bit of hope that she can escape those dark thoughts. But in a super spooky moment, we see a giant skeleton walking out of the shadows. Flexing his dark power, he calls her rude and says he is sending her packing. Looking annoyed, the skeleton walks up, wondering how she even woke up from his dream. Breaking free, she finally realizes who the jerk behind all these curses really is. The old lich says if she had just stayed still, he would have given her an easy way out. But she would never take a deal from a creep like him, and she is getting really mad. Balling her fist, she gets ready to fight, even though she might lose this one. She uses summoning magic to bring out a whole pack of lions and unicorns. Even though the old master is totally controlling all the magic in the room right now, she is still trying her best to call her servants using her bright green magic. Launching her big attack, all her magical pets charge the skeleton and swarm him. With one hit, he smashes them all and asks if she did not like her nice dream. She is totally shocked at how fast he just deleted all her magical summons. He reaches out his claws and tells her to go back to sleep until the end. But she is not quitting yet, even though she knows she is about to pass out. She needs to stay awake, so she tries to call up a perfect blue rune. But wait, she is surprised, because she was not the one who actually made that rune. She stares in awe at the glowing energy. Her clever friend catches on, fast realizing Professor Raynias's defensive circuit just kicked into high gear. Rainbow stardust swirls around her, now dancing through her body like a magical power-up to help her crush this fight. With happy tears, she touches the glowing rune. Her dear friend was watching over her the whole time, talk about great service. The villain is totally fuming, roaring out insults at the legendary Ash Mage. So rude. Reaching out a bony hand, he demands the stars finish the curse. He's super annoyed that someone is meddling in his private business. The rune shields her from the king's scary presence. Deep down, she knows this isn't just interference, it feels like destiny calling. It is just a friendly intervention. The skeleton starts cackling, finally, figuring out that the Ashen One is back for round 2. Still, our purple-haired girl is feeling pretty shaky. That creepy enemy presence is seriously ruining the polite vibes of the day. Suddenly, weird sounds echo as a spooky purple cloud starts drifting across the room. Definitely not a scented candle. Ugh, stop bothering me, the villain screams. He is clearly losing his patience with our stubborn hero. His shout is so loud it shatters the glass. Luckily, the magic rune has a mind of its own and deploys protection. It pops up right on her glove exactly like she planned. Man, she is good at this game. Looking at her cool magic glove with a smirk, she knows everything is going just right. Leveling up feels great. She pulls off the glove to reveal the hidden mark. All right, friend, time to sniff out where this bad guy is hiding. On it, the boy takes a big whiff of the air and starts tracking that villainous scent. He spent his whole life training for this. His eyes start glowing. He has found the target. No more hide and seek today. Magical thunder rumbles as lightning strikes the trees. It is loud, flashy, and honestly pretty cool to watch from afar. This is the special skill of our expert hunting dog. He can pinpoint evil energy like he is using GPS. With a bit of a runny nose, our brave warrior confirms he has found the exact spot. Success smells like victory. As lightning marks the spot in the woods, he asks if she can see his very bright signal. Hard to miss. Great job, she says with a smile. Now she needs his help to kick this noisy demon out of their neighborhood. While heading out, she suggests grabbing drinks and catching up after they finish this chore. Now that is a polite way to battle. But Mangana is totally locked in. She is determined to stop the bad vibes and calls the villain a scaredy cat for hiding. The villain's magic is getting super flashy now. Giant purple tentacles are sprouting everywhere in the forest. Talk about an overreaction. She casts a floating spell, vowing not to let him escape again. Then she hops off the balcony to join the fun. Leaping through the trees like a pro, she quickly closes in. Hey, no use hiding from me now, she shouts. With a cheerful grin, she knows her long-awaited payback is finally here. Reincarnation really pays off sometimes, does it not? She unleashes her ultimate spell punish. Meanwhile, back at Aplia Academy, things are getting a little chaotic for the faculty. In one classroom, a magical nurse is busy healing a student while everyone else watches with wide, worried eyes. The instructors rush into the principal's office, shouting for attention. They have clearly skipped their morning tea today. They are super panicked. Skele's barrier is surrounding the whole school, and it looks like it is about to give up the ghost. Suddenly, the windows start popping. The magical pressure in the air is just too much for the poor glass. Shadowy tentacles shoot into the school like dark lightning, targeting students left and right. Definitely not a normal Monday. The principal and his team are stumped. How did such a strong barrier fall so easily? Very suspicious. The creature's dark influence is spreading fast, just like it planned. It is trying to leave our heroes with zero options. Deep in the forest, the Great Tower's disciple is struggling. She is totally wiped out and realizes the Academy's defense is finally broken. "I have got to get out of here," she whispers, sweating buckets. Her instincts are screaming at her to run fast. Luckily, our main character is right there to help. The girl worries that if she gets caught again, it is game over forever. She falls into her friend's arms, wondering who is giving her such a nice warm hug. The main character gently places a hand on her head, casting a cozy healing spell to soothe her mind. "Thanks for the hard work," she says, activating a teleportation spell. Time for a quick and polite exit to safety. Back at the fight, the villain is acting all tough again. He is wondering when his rival will show up for a rematch. He surrounds the mage with dark magic, tossing out insults and calling her totally unpleasant. How rude. He keeps ranting while his eyes glow with spooky power. But our teacher is not bothered at all. She is just keeping it polite. She is used to his tantrums. The villain is absolutely livid that she always ruins his big plans. If she were not here, he would have won. Imagine that star child was almost forced to become a saint for the Star Shadows. If that barrier hadn't shattered, the capital would have fallen into the skeleton's wicked hands. He's still grumbling, calling our hero a rebel who hasn't even hit 100 years. He's so frustrated. How does our protagonist break his holy barriers every single time? And with a cheeky grin, she mocks him. Guess his inferiority complex is still huge. What a pain. She confidently tells him he really should have tried much harder. Look out, the portal's open and demons are pouring out, ready to attack everyone. Everyone at school is waking up. They're spotting the enemies and getting ready to fight. Someone noticed the summoning of weak lower-level monsters has officially begun. A soldier asks the team healer for a favor. Please protect students in the infirmary. The archer guards the supports while the leader takes on a totally different role. Sword out. He's ready for a messy fight. He charges in and defeats the demons. He's a speedster. He zips across the battlefield effortlessly, dusting every enemy in his path. He tells his crew to keep moving, head toward the altar center for the plan. Back to the drama. The fourth Holy King is calling the Grey Mage totally disgusting. He's confused. How is she alive? The Star Shadows cursed her long ago. He's getting scared. There's only one reason she could still be standing today. Even with that nasty skeleton god's curse, this girl is staying firm and powerful. He's screaming in annoyance. How did she survive with the disease in her heart? He remembers when this happened, before someone's skin just melted away. That's pretty spooky. Shh, a noise in the forest catches their attention and they both fall silent. She just starts laughing, not scared at all. She smiles to grab his attention back. She's fearless. She asks if this was planned while activating magical runes in her hands. First is Axel Fast Blue runes. Start spinning around, giving her a massive boost. Next is muscle enhancement. Our hero is getting even more powerful by the second. Look at that glow. All that energy lights up the battlefield with a brilliant shine. Reaching out, she mockingly calls the enemy Bonehead. That's gotta hurt. Her magic is blazing blue flames surround her as she gets increasingly powerful. She casually mentions she's actually the original creator of all these battle mages. She explains the truth. She created this method just to capture him more easily. She leaps high. Using the terrain, she appears in the sky, dripping with magic. Time for a real attack. She activates her Khazar magic to handle the danger. She charges her fist for a strike, but wait, Skepel wasn't born yesterday. He knows the drill. He summons a purple magic shield to block her punch. That shield is tough. It absorbs the damage while sending shockwaves across the field. This ancient Lich King won't quit. He refuses to give up the fight now. To beat a monster like this, our main character must break her own limits. To make the plan work, she stored several magic circuits inside her own body. Storing that energy lets her release a quick blast that hammers the enemy barrier. Prioritize attacks, she shouts. Her non-stop punches are starting to crack the holy barrier. Her plan is simple: charge in fast, destabilize the enemy with direct, quick combat. This is it. She joins her hands, gathering every bit of magic for one final blow. Those runes are buzzing. The strike is strong enough to shatter the entire barrier. The boy just shrugs. If he were a swordsman or dragon, he wouldn't care. But losing to another mage, he lands one last crushing punch on the skull. You really think that'll work on a pro mage like me? She scoffs just as the enemy unleashes a massive ash impact. Meanwhile, his rival is busy manhandling a skeleton, pinning it down with some seriously impressive magical hands. Boom! A colossal explosion rocks the battlefield, sending chunks of debris and soot flying everywhere like confetti. Our heroine casually hops onto the battered body of her foe, who's looking pretty worse for wear down there. She starts teasing him about his fancy neck jewelry, and you can see the absolute terror in the Lich's eyes. Maddie's here to wrap things up quickly, politely asking if that shiny thing holding his neck together is his life vessel. Guess I'm harvesting another one today, she jokes casually, yanking out the very thing keeping the creature animated. A bone-chilling scream echoes through the forest, giving every sleeping animal nearby a very rude wake-up call. Even the crows join the noisy symphony as the hero squad packs up and prepares for their next move. One soldier remarks that seeing Lord Renil's flashy style, it looks like a legendary battle mage has finally appeared. We're talking about those rare mages who charge straight into the fray alongside the warriors and lancers. He suggests that if a true battle mage hero emerged, they might finally fill the shoes of the Ash Mage. Kaio isn't sold, though, reminding everyone that knowing a spell is one thing, but using it in combat is another. He adds that no matter how much you level up, the human body still has its natural breaking point. But one elitist claims he actually burned the light of the stars to transcend those pesky human limits. That power is for the elite. Our hero remembers his own grind burning through mana just to stay ahead. Back at the scene, the divine scale begins to manifest in the sky, shimmering with an ancient, eerie light. Standing over her defeated foe, she declares her victory and offers him a deal he probably shouldn't refuse. She turns to the scales she summoned and proposes a trade, offering her own body and flesh as the price. The girl is clearly feeling the nerves now breaking into a cold sweat as she weighs the heavy cost. It's a big move. In its usual demanding tone, the scale booms pay the price before the deal is done. Reaching out her hand, she bravely offers up every last drop of her remaining mana to settle the debt.